island, they jumped up and down, suddenly finding it difficult to calm down their excitement and threw themselves into Yi Xian's arms. "Dad, you are so nice. We are going to bed now, but you can't lie to us." Yi Xia blinked and gave Yi Xian a little finger. "Ah, Dad has never lied to you before. He will definitely take you there, so don't worry." Narrowing his eyes, Yi Xian smiled and made a pinky promise with Yi Xia, promising the children what to do for tomorrow, and then let them go to bed obediently. But even so, the children still kept their eyes brightly open and couldn't fall asleep. "Didn't you promise Dad to go to bed obediently?" Yi Xian helplessly looked at the little guys curled up beside him, but it was getting later and later. "But Dad, we're so excited that we can't sleep," Yi Xi said in a baby voice, still imagining the beautiful scenery on the island in her mind. "Okay, then Dad will tell you a story. You better go to sleep well." "Great. We love listening to Daddy tell stories the most." Knowing that Yi Xian was about to start telling a story, the little ones moved closer, then tried to relax as comfortably as possible and began to listen with their ears perked up. "Well, let me tell you a story about the sea. A long time ago, there was a small village on an island." As Yi Xian began to tell a fairy tale in his magnetic and deep voice, the little ones listened carefully at first, and then slowly fell asleep. The next morning, Yi Xian was woken up by a few little guys, who immediately shouted and headed towards the island. Because he had promised the children, Yi Xian had no choice but to climb out of bed. After asking the children to wash up, he began to apply sunscreen. After doing all this, everyone left the hotel. Also leaving along the way were Longshi, Tang Hao, Bai Ling, and others. The little guys were walking in the front carrying their own small bags, laughing and talking all the way, which made everyone very happy. When they arrived at the bottom of the hotel, the manager happened to see Yi Xian and his group coming down, so he walked up to them enthusiastically and started greeting Yi Xian. "Good morning, Mr. Yi. Where are you planning to go today?" "Uncle, we are going to Little Elephant Island today." Before Yi Xian could answer, the children in front of him spoke excitedly. "Ah! Little Elephant Island. Did I hear it right?" Hearing that everyone was going to Little Elephant Island, the manager, who had been enthusiastic, suddenly changed his expression. He looked at Yi Xian seriously and said seriously, "Mr. Yi, don't blame me for saying too much. That place is a place where pirates often appear. Even here in our area, no one dares to go there. Someone once speculated that the island might be the lair of pirates who often appeared nearby. Although the scenery is very beautiful, the risk is too great. You must not be impulsive." The manager looked anxious and his tone was extremely sincere. It could be heard that this was indeed a dangerous place. At least many people nearby knew about it. Because Yi Xian was their distinguished guest, the manager dared not neglect him. When he heard that Yi Xian and others were going to such a dangerous place, he was naturally very anxious. "Mr. Yi, this is true. I am not kidding you. Someone has been to Little Elephant Island before. It was a small fleet, but up to now, not to mention the people, even the boat has not been found. You must believe me, this place is too dangerous, you really can't go there." It's okay, don't worry, we're just going out for some fun." Yi Xian listened to the manager's words and just smiled easily. Longshi, who was listening nearby, just smiled faintly, as if these pirates were nothing to him. "Alas, Mr. Yi, even if you want to go, no ship dares to go to this place, so you still have to be careful." Seeing that he couldn't persuade Yi Xian, the manager was helpless and had to remind Yi Xian to be careful. Afterwards, Yi Xian led everyone to the port. Many ships were docked on the shore. The shipowners were smoking pipes and chatting on the shore, looking quite relaxed. "Hey guys, are you going out to sea? Where are you going?" However, when they saw Yi Xian and his group walking towards the port in a mighty manner, the shipowners were shocked. Knowing that business was coming, they hurriedly came to greet them with smiles and asked Yi Xian and his group where they were going. "Uncle, we are going to Little Elephant Island." The children had no idea how powerful the pirates were, and they asked the shipowners innocently, hoping to get there as soon as possible so they could have fun. "Ah! What did you say, kid?" But when the shipowners heard this, they were stunned and couldn't believe the place name they had just heard. This group of people clearly looked like tourists, how could they have the courage to go to this place? If you know about this small elephant island, it is impossible that you don't know how dangerous this place is. Where does he get the courage from? "Uncle, we want to go to Little Elephant Island. Can you take us there?" The little guys thought that the shipowners didn't hear clearly, so they said it again immediately, and didn't think there was anything wrong with it. This Chapter 257 Curious. As a result, these shipowners were completely at a loss. They looked at each other in amazement and hurriedly exclaimed at Yi Xian and his group. Everyone, this little elephant island is a place you absolutely cannot go to. Yes, let alone tourists, this place has been regarded as a forbidden area by countless nearby islands. It is very dangerous. Those of you who are not from here may not know that Little Elephant Island is said to be the island's nest. The shipowners took a deep breath and tried to comfort Yi Xian and others with all kinds of persuasion. They said that this place was a place that not only their small ships but even slightly larger fleets would not dare to set foot in. Ah! What is that? However, before Yi Xian and others could say anything, another noisy sound broke everyone's thoughts, and they all looked towards the source of the sound. Many people at the port saw this scene. Their eyes widened as they stared in disbelief. Their expressions were more interesting than each other. On the other side, a fleet was heading towards the port, making the originally open sea surface seem to be firmly tied down and suddenly become congested. Compared with the ships in this fleet, the ships of these shipowners are like small toys, appearing so insignificant, just like a bicycle in front of a truck. The most noticeable thing is that every ship in this fleet has a black flag flying on it, giving people a sense of oppression from the depths of the ocean. When people saw this scene, they were all stunned. This fleet was so majestic that everyone couldn't help but take a few more glances. Oh my god! What is this? This fleet is so cool, a sea of black. You can only see this in the movies. But what kind of fleet is this? Why are they coming towards us? Are they pirates? How could it be an island? Can an island have such a large fleet? Witnessing this, the crowd couldn't help but get agitated. Everyone was talking about it, and they were all surprised by the scene before them. At this moment, Yi Xian's cell phone rang, but everyone was deeply attracted by the fleet and no one paid attention to Yi Xian. We've already arrived at the port, just come over here. Yi Xian's voice was calm yet full of magnetism. The moment he finished speaking, everyone at the port was stunned. No matter who it was, they all heard Yi Xian's words clearly. What do you mean? Is this there? The shipowners were closest to it and heard it clearly. They were stunned at the moment. Then they recalled the destination of Yi Xian and others, and they were even more shocked and could no longer speak. Honey, is this our boat? Wang Xinyao, who was looking at the fleet with everyone else, was also stunned. She asked Yi Xian with some surprise. Yes. Yi Xian nodded and watched the fleet accelerating towards him. Longya also stared at the fleet without blinking. When the fleet was getting closer, he jumped to a high place and waved to the fleet. Is this true? Longya's actions immediately attracted a lot of people. Seeing him waving at the fleet, people found it difficult to accept for a moment. It seemed that they were just tourists from China. How could this be possible? But what shocked everyone even more was that after seeing Longsha waving, the fleet headed towards this side at full speed and arrived at the port in an instant. The leading large ship slowly lowered the ladder, and then a line of men neatly dressed in black came down, and then came straight to Yi Xian and others. Brother Yi, long time no see. Leading the group was a middle-aged man with an extraordinary temperament and wearing a brown leather jacket. He came to Yi Xian respectfully, looking very excited, and started chatting with Yi Xian enthusiastically. Well, Hongming, we haven't seen each other for a while. Yi Xian smiled slightly and patted the man's shoulder gently. Captain Long, you're here too. Wang Hongming just noticed Longsha waving at him, and at this moment he excitedly took Longsha into his arms. I said, why are you still so cheesy? Longsha rolled his eyes, and although one could see a hint of joy in his eyes, his tone was still cold. Ah, Captain Long, you are still the same as before. Wang Hongming laughed, and in a blink of an eye he noticed the little guys and Wang Xinyao standing next to Yi Xian, and his eyes immediately became a little confused. Brother Yi, Captain Long, who are these people? I forgot to introduce myself. This is my wife, Wang Xinyao. These girls are all my daughters. Yi Xian smiled, remembering that Wang Hongming didn't know these, and then introduced them to him. Hello, Uncle Wang. The little guys also smiled politely at Wang Hongming and continued to ask. Uncle Wang, can we take your boat later? We really want to go on board. Uncle Wang's boat looks so cool. Ha ha ha, of course. Wang Hongming also smiled warmly at the children, but although he had a smile on his face, there was a storm in his heart. Including the brothers who followed him, their faces were full of shock. They never imagined that Yi Xian actually had a wife and children, and the children were already so grown up. But Yi Xian clearly hadn't mentioned any details before, so what was going on? Okay, don't think about it, let us go up first. Yi Xian saw that Wang Hongming was lost in thought and knew what he was thinking, so he said something with a smile. Yes. I was negligent. Brother Yi, please come up quickly. Wang Hongming slapped his head and finally reacted. He quickly greeted everyone and walked onto the boat. Great. We can get on board now. When the little ones heard that they could get on board, they excitedly climbed up the stairs and ran to the deck in a flash. These little guys. Yi Xian smiled helplessly, holding Wang Xinyao's hand and followed her up. Woo! With the sound of a whistle, everyone went on deck and the fleet began to turn around and prepare to leave the sea. On the wide deck, several little guys were running and jumping, feeling indescribably excited. They were enjoying the sea breeze by the fence, and then they were looking at the small window next to the cockpit to see how the boat was driven. They were full of curiosity about everything. Set sail. Coordinates: Little Elephant Island. Chapter 258: Who Dares to Move? Seeing this, Wang Hongming also picked up the walkie-talkie, issued orders to the fleet, and headed towards Little Elephant Island together. Suddenly, the ships of the fleet that were docked at the port started their engines at the same time. With the slight swaying of the ship's hull and the sound of splashing water, the fleet quickly left the port and moved farther and farther towards the center of the ocean. The children also quieted down at this moment, and sat obediently in a resting area on the deck, facing the oncoming sea breeze, enjoying the vastness of the sea and the freedom between heaven and earth under the blue sky. At the port, everyone was still staring blankly at the fleet's shadow as it left, their minds buzzing, unable to tell whether what they had just seen was a dream or reality. Brother Yi, Captain Long, it's really not easy for you to come here, and it also brought me a lot of surprises. But seriously, what are you doing here this time? Wang Hongming and Yi Zuanlongxi were standing together, enjoying the sea view and chatting slowly. Actually, there's nothing much to do here. I just want to go out and have fun with my wife and kids. Yi Xian looked at Wang Xinyo, who was taking pictures with a few little ones, and smiled, his eyes full of pampering and tenderness. This also surprised Wang Hongming a little. He rarely saw such an expression on Yi Xian's face. It was simply impossible in the past. But because of the existence of these little guys, Yi Xian seemed to have become a different person, which made him sigh. It seems that even someone as powerful as Yi Xian would still undergo some changes after having a family. As the fleet moved slowly, when everyone occasionally looked back, they found that they had already lost sight of the distant Dasha Island. At the port of Little Elephant Island on the other side, there were many ships of different models docked. There were also many Westerners of different races maintaining the ships. They had cigarettes in their mouths, tattoos on their bare arms, and their cruel eyes were frightening. And these people are none other than a notorious group of pirates in the surrounding waters. The Little Elephant Island, which makes countless people tremble when they hear of it, is also where they are active. Hey! What's that over there? Why is it so dark? At this moment, one of the islands saw something approaching on the sea level not far from them. His heart tightened immediately and he took out the telescope that was casually hung on his waist. But it doesn't matter if you don't look. The pirate raised the telescope and saw the fleet coming in a mighty manner. The black flags above were particularly conspicuous against the blue sea and sky, and many pirates around also noticed this scene. Too arrogant, really too arrogant. Don't they know whose territory this is? Ha, I think he's courting death. He even dared to come into our mouths. He's courting death, right? Hurry up and inform the leader that we have discovered an unknown fleet. When the pirates saw this, they were immediately furious. In these sea areas, only their ships were sailing towards others. When would it be the turn for others to sail towards them? Isn't this seeking death? One of the pirates nodded when he heard this, and quickly took out his walkie-talkie to notify the leader, who was resting in the villa on the island. Chief. Something happened. What's going on? Didn't we not go out today? When the leader heard the voices of his men coming from the intercom, he sat up from the chair he was lying on and asked in a slightly serious tone. That's right, Chief. We discovered at the port that an unknown fleet had openly entered our territory, and was heading towards our island at full speed. What? The leader was also a little surprised when he heard this. Was he still asleep today? When did someone dare to be so arrogant to them? Were they pirates or someone else? Take a closer look at what this fleet looks like. They are so bold. The leader couldn't help but get a little angry. Who on earth is this person? He is so bold. Chief, we didn't find any special features, but this fleet is very strange. Every ship looks very good, and they all have a black flag. The subordinate on the other end of the intercom hesitated for a moment, and then tried his best to report what he could see clearly to the leader. What did you say? Are you sure that's what you saw? But when the leader heard this, his face suddenly changed, his body couldn't help but tremble, he couldn't sit still anymore, and jumped up directly from the recliner. I'm not seeing things. The subordinate didn't expect the leader's reaction to be so big. He just responded woodenly and confirmed that what he said directly was correct. Then this is the Black Flag Fleet. The pirate leader's expression was completely frozen at this moment, his eyes were filled with fear. This was a fear that came from the bottom of his heart and was spreading throughout his brain nerves. Black Flag. We can't afford to offend them. The deputy leader standing nearby was also completely stunned. He paced back and forth in fear and trepidation, unable to understand how they had provoked these lunatics. As for these people, it can be said that they disdain anyone in these sea areas. No matter whether it is an individual or a force, they do not take it seriously. But if the other party is the Black Flag Fleet, it will be different. Legend has it that the combat power of the Black Flag Fleet is enough to capture any island in the Pacific Ocean. At the beginning, there was a group of pirates who did not know the power of the Black Flag Fleet and provoked them. But the consequence was that this group of pirates and their ships were completely wiped out by the Black Flag Fleet within an hour, without even a trace left. The price the Black Flag Fleet paid to destroy this group of pirates was only 1/10 of the reserve ammunition of 2 of its battleships, and there were no casualties. Even if we deal with them with such a strong fighting force armed to the teeth, I'm afraid they will say goodbye to this beautiful world in just a few hours at most. Chief, why are you silent? What's the Black Flag? Should we take the initiative to attack? These people are too arrogant. While the leader and the assistant director were silent, the sound of a gunbolt being pulled came from the intercom, along with the excited words of his subordinates. This is the fucking Black Flag. You asked us to take the initiative, but I tell you, it would be as easy as playing for them to kill 10 of us. Chapter 259 Pearl. The leader couldn't bear it any longer and cursed into the walkie-talkie. Don't act rashly, you brainless people. Without my order, no one is allowed to act rashly. Ah. What shall we do then? After being scolded by the leader, the subordinate vaguely realized the seriousness of the matter and asked in a somewhat helpless manner. What should I do? Make way for me immediately and wait for us at the port. As soon as the leader finished speaking, he turned off the intercom, grabbed the deputy leader beside him, and hurriedly ran out of the villa. The 2 men summoned all the senior executives in a swift and decisive manner and informed them of the attack by the Black Flag Fleet. This shocked everyone and they were all at a loss as to what to do. Chief, what should we do? This is the Black Flag. It's easy to kill us. Why don't we run away, Chief, before they get here, or it will be too late? Yeah, the other party came over here for no reason. I always feel that it's not a good thing. Let's go. The faces of the senior executives changed drastically, some were even shaking, and they all suggested running away as soon as possible. Confused. The leader cursed loudly and said with some regret. Are you really stupid? Don't you know that the Black Flag Fleet's horsepower makes it easy for them to catch up with us? If we run away, we'll be doomed. At this moment, the leader's heart was actually tense. He really didn't know why the Black Flag Fleet came here for no reason. It was impossible for him to say that he was not afraid. But after thinking about it, there was no better way, so the leader finally made up his mind and spoke to everyone. We won't leave. We have to go and greet them. They didn't come here to declare war on us. Everyone looked at the leader's resolute expression and felt helpless, but there was obviously no better way at this time, so everyone could only do as he was told. So, the leader, along with a group of high-ranking officials, came to the port in a mighty manner. His subordinates had already moved all the ships parked at the port out of the way to make way for the Black Flag Fleet. The chief was feeling uneasy, but he still stood at the port with his superiors and subordinates, looking respectful and waiting. As the Black Flag Fleet got closer, everyone felt a deep sense of oppression amidst the sea of black flags before their eyes. Soon, the Black Flag Fleet docked at the port. Wang Hongming, Yi Xian, and others got off first. When the pirate leader saw Wang Hongming, he smiled flatteringly and greeted him respectfully. It's you, Captain Wang. I'm so sorry to see you come to our little elephant island. Seeing this, other senior executives also came over with smiles on their faces. Their cruel eyes had long disappeared, and now each of them was smiling more beautifully than the other. Captain Wang, we have heard of your Black Flag Fleet for a long time. Seeing you today is really an eye-opener for us. Alas, compared to you, we are nothing. Yes, we don't know how honored we are that you can come to our barren land. The pirates welcomed them warmly and were polite to everyone in the Black Flag Fleet, especially to the fleet captain Wang Hongming, to whom they were extremely polite. Are these really pirates? Wang Xinyo looked at the smiles of these pirates and couldn't help muttering in her heart. She usually imagined that pirates should be more ruthless than each other, but the smiles of these people made her shake her head in disappointment. Not to mention that he doesn't look fierce at all, his polite appearance and the smile on his face make him look absolutely harmless. Well, the scenery here is very nice. We thought we had nothing to do today, so we came over to take a look. I wonder if you welcome us. Wang Hongming smiled faintly and looked at the pirate leader in front of him. Ah! That's great. Although our place is average, the scenery is pretty nice. When the leader heard what Wang Hongming said, he realized that he and his companions were safe for the time being, and he immediately led the way respectfully. How about this? I'll show you around. Everyone, please don't be shy, just treat it like you're at home. The pirate leader smiled knowingly, then bowed and welcomed everyone to walk forward, and then he trotted along to follow. First, the pirates brought Yi Xian and others to their own villa. Because they had accumulated wealth everywhere, the villa looked extremely luxurious. After leading everyone inside to sit down, the leader immediately and politely brought plates of fruits and food. His flattering and respectful smile seemed to be frozen on his face, not changing for a moment, and he did not dare to show any impatience. Everyone, you've worked hard on the journey. Take a good rest. I'll take you to other places later. Great. Uncle is so enthusiastic. The little guys couldn't help drooling when looking at the dazzling array of food and fruits in front of them. After asking Yi Xian for permission, they began to eat with big mouthfuls. Ah, just be as you please, don't be polite. The leader laughed and looked at Yi Xian, Wang Hongming, Longshu, and others sitting together. He almost cried in his heart. With these gentlemen in front of him, if he was not enthusiastic, wouldn't he be seeking his own death? After resting for a while, the originally arrogant pirate leader became like a tour guide, leading everyone to have a good tour around the island. His hospitality was meticulous, and he almost let Yi Xian and others step on his head. The little guys had a lot of fun. The scenery of this little elephant island was particularly nice because there were no other people except the pirates. Many places were still in their original state, which was pleasing to the eye. In the end, the leader and others sent Yi Xian and others back to the port, and also ordered their men to send many gifts to Yi Xian and others. Everyone, thank you so much for coming to our little elephant island. It really makes our place shine. Before you leave, here are some small gifts from us. Please accept them with a smile. At this time, there were various gift boxes of all sizes placed in front of everyone, and one of the big gift boxes attracted the attention of Wang Xinyo and several little ones. After I took it and opened it, I found that it was full of pearls, sparkling with white light under the sunlight, and each one was so flawless. Wow! These pearls are so beautiful. Wang Xinyo and a few other little ones were stunned. There were so many pearls in there. None of them had ever seen so many pearls. Chapter 260. Take it and play with it. It's okay. These are just little gifts. I'm glad you like them. Seeing this, the leader was worried that Wang Xinyo and others would be dissatisfied, so he quickly added another sentence. If you guys want to come again in the future, you're always welcome. After respectfully bidding farewell to Yi Xian and the others, the pirate leader ordered his men to carry the gifts one by one onto the ship that Yi Xian and the others came on. So, Yi Xian and others, who had come empty-handed, returned with a full load, and most of the deck was piled with gifts. As the whistle sounded, the Black Flag Fleet left Little Elephant Island under the attention of the pirates. Chief, we have so many good things, but we've given away a lot of them. After the fleet disappeared from their sight, the pirates remembered the things they had just given away, and their faces immediately showed a look of pain. Humph! What do you know? The pirate leader also breathed a sigh of relief at this moment. When he heard his subordinates say this, he immediately snorted. These people are not ordinary people. The father of those children is a world-class figure. Not only did he develop the world-famous spirit summoning potion, he is also the only 5-star dragon general in the Chinese Yanhuang military. Do you know how this 5-star dragon general came about? Back then, he was armed with a sword and a red flag, and he drove the enemy thousands of miles away in the southwest border. He left his sword there, and no one dared to attack him since then. And the one next to him is called Longshore. He is at the top of the global wanted list, with a terrifyingly high bounty, but no one bothers him. This guy, known as the god of killing in the assassin world, can massacre our entire island at any time. Hearing the leader's solemn words, the subordinates around him took a deep breath, their eyes filled with shock and disbelief. At this moment, they no longer felt sorry for the things they had just given away. For such a great god, it would be best to quickly give them some gifts so that they could leave happily. One is Yi Xian, who is at the top of the world, and the other is a killing god. Even Wang Homing is the captain of the Black Flag Fleet, whom they cannot afford to offend. Thinking of this, the pirates felt even more frightened and cold sweat ran down their cheeks. If this really provokes one of them, I'm afraid all of them here will have a bad ending. Soon, Yi Xian and others returned to the port of Dasha Island with a full load. Looking at the deck full of gifts, they just picked some at random, and the rest were taken away by the fleet a long time later. Dad, can we keep these pearls? Several little ones stared at the pearls in the box. They were so happy that they all blinked their eyes and looked at Yi Xian. Well, if you like it, you can play with it. Yeah. Thanks, Dad. The children were surprised and happy when they heard this. They held the box full of pearls as if it was their treasure, with smiles of joy and satisfaction on their faces. Here, after returning to the hotel manager saw that Yi Xian and his group had returned safely, and knew that they did not go to Little Elephant Island, so he felt relieved. Mr. Yi, you are back. How about it? I said we can't go to this Little Elephant Island, right? After all, this place is very dangerous. Many people say that this is the pirate's lair. No ship is willing to leave. From now on, don't even think about going to these dangerous places. If you can't find a place to go for fun for the time being, I can recommend some for you. After all, I'm pretty familiar with this area. The hotel manager spoke in a very polite tone and was considerate of Yi Xian and the others. After all, they were rare guests to their place. Yi Xian smiled and nodded, agreed softly, and then prepared to take the little ones and Wang Xinyao and others upstairs. But when the children heard the manager say that they had not arrived at Little Elephant Island, they puffed up their little lips and spoke to the hotel manager in a baby voice. But uncle, we have been to Little Elephant Island. We just came back from there. What? Looking at the innocent little faces of the children, the manager was suddenly confused and looked at Yi Xian in disbelief. But Yi Xian just smiled and did not deny what the little guy said. This made the manager even more puzzled. He took a deep breath, but still couldn't calm down. No, that's impossible. There won't be any boat willing to go to Little Elephant Island. Uncle, we didn't lie to you. Look, we still have photos. Seeing that the hotel manager didn't seem to believe it, the little guys opened the photo album on their mobile phones and flipped through the photos one by one. The manager bent down and looked at the photos that the little guys were flipping through. The more he looked, the more his scalp tingled. This was indeed Little Elephant Island, the real Little Elephant Island. The scenery and people above all reflect this point, and looking at the time when these photos were taken, they cannot be faked. Oh my God! The hotel manager didn't know what to say for a moment, and just stood there in a daze. The shock in his heart was like a sudden strong wind and huge waves on the quiet sea surface, which completely swallowed up his small boat drifting in the middle of the sea. Who on earth are these people? This is not an ordinary place. They are going to Little Elephant Island, a place that is more dangerous than beautiful. What kind of courage and bravery could allow Yi Xian to boldly bring his family to this place that is considered a forbidden place in the hearts of countless people? What kind of strength and means do they have that allow them to return unscathed even in such a dangerous area? The hotel manager was instantly covered in cold sweat and couldn't figure out what was happening. Okay kids, say goodbye to Uncle and let's go up first. Let's go. Goodbye, Uncle. The girls waved to the hotel manager with a smile, and then followed Yi Xian into the hotel, carrying many large and small bags of gifts they had received from the pirates. The manager behind him had only just recovered from his shock. He quickly called Yi Xian and handed him the auction invitation ticket. Mr. Yi, please forgive me for forgetting to tell you just now that we will have an auction soon. Here are a few invitation tickets. If you have the opportunity, you can also go and participate. Okay, thank you. Yi Xian smiled slightly, took several auction invitations from the manager, thanked him, and then took everyone back. Oh. He is really not an ordinary person. He can actually go to Little Elephant Island. This is the first. Chapter 261 Heart of the Ocean. Watching Yi Xian and his group's elevator slowly reaching the upper floors, the manager took a deep breath, but still felt an inimitable sense of surprise. TSK, TSK, TSK. These guys are really amazing. Not only do they dare to go to a place like Little Elephant Island, they even have a fleet to escort them. That's right. When I was at the port before, I heard these people asking the ship owners whether they wanted to go to Little Elephant Island. I thought they couldn't go, but I didn't know such a fleet would come. Oh, this fleet is so cool. With such a lineup and momentum, if I were a pirate, I would be scared when I saw it. Several people walked excitedly and talked about the fleet. Their expressions were even more excited and they continued to talk non-stop. The topic always revolved around the fleet, and their eyes were full of fanaticism. As expected, if you don't have the right skills, you won't dare to take on such a job. If I could be escorted by such a fleet, my life would be worth it. Alas, we can only think about this. A fleet of this level is beyond our imagination. Did you notice that those people who came down from the fleet earlier, their aura and eyes were not ordinary people? No wonder they were not even a problem for this small elephant island. When the manager heard these words, he couldn't help but feel shocked. The meaning was very clear. Yi Xian and his team were able to successfully reach Little Elephant Island because they were escorted by a fleet. But if he wasn't an extraordinary person, how could he have come to this foreign country and have a fleet escort him? Thinking of all this, the manager became even more impatient, his eyelids were twitching violently, and he kept exclaiming in his heart. He was shocked at the strength and identity of Yi Xian and others. At this time, Yi Xian and his group had returned to the hotel room. A few little guys had just come in. After changing their shoes, they started to tinker with the things they got from the pirates, and place them on the floor one by one. Most of these are rare and precious treasures, and the little ones like them very much. However, they just think they look good and have not realized how valuable these things are. But among all these things, the children's favorite are the big pearls. At this moment, they are holding them in their hands tenderly, admiring the roundness and luster of these big pearls. You guys play first, Daddy is going to cook for you. After Yi Xian changed his clothes, he saw a few little ones playing with pearls happily. He came over to watch for a while, then went to the kitchen to cook for them. The next day, Yi Xian sat in the hotel room, looking at the invitation cards in his hand, and said to everyone, "Since we have nothing to do, why don't we go and have a look at the auction? How about that?" "Dad, but what is an auction?" When the little guys heard Yi Xian talking about the auction, they hurried over with curiosity, some of them not sure what it was. "Well, this auction is where many people rush to buy something. Whoever bids the highest gets it." "Ah. Doesn't that mean I have to compete with others to buy a doll?" Yi Xi exclaimed, and expressed her opinion with some doubt, which immediately made Yi Xian and Wang Xinyo laugh. "Ha ha ha, Xiaoxi, normally there aren't any dolls at this auction. The reason we have to compete like this is because the items in it are all relatively rare." After hearing Yi Xian's explanation, Yi Xi nodded half knowingly. At least she knew that dolls were not sold here. And when she heard Yi Xian say that these were rare things, she couldn't help but become interested. "How about it, girls? Do you want to go and have a look? Think." The children smiled and nodded. It was boring to stay in the hotel anyway, and they thought the auction seemed very interesting, so they agreed immediately and all wanted to go and see what the auction was like. "Okay. Since we are all going, let's change our clothes quickly. The auction is about to start." "Aha." After the discussion, Yi Xian and Wang Xinyo changed into formal dresses and tidied themselves up simply. Even the little ones changed into cute little dresses again. The group walked out of the hotel. The auction was not far away, and after walking for a while, they arrived at the door of the auction. This was a luxurious club with a red carpet at the entrance. Many Westerners and Chinese people dressed in luxurious clothes were walking in one after another. "Hello, sir. Welcome to our auction. Please come in." When he reached the door, Yi Xian took out the invitation to the auction. After the waiter at the door took it and verified it, he bowed slightly and guided Yi Xian and others into the auction. In the lobby of this luxurious club, as Yi Xian walked in with Wang Xinyo and the children, many people had already arrived one after another. The lobby is magnificent and grand, decorated magnificently, and it is more than enough to hold an auction here. Those who can come here are all dignitaries, or some wealthy businessmen. "Sirs and ladies, there are a few children, please follow me." After entering the lobby, several beautiful waitresses came over and enthusiastically took Yi Xian and others to a seat. They quickly served them tea and pastries, and finally handed them an auction slip and number tag for this auction. "Sir, here is your auction slip and number plate. You can take a break. Our auction will start soon." Yi Xian nodded, took a few sips of tea to moisten his throat, then picked up the auction list and looked at it. However, the content of this auction somewhat disappointed Yi Xian. He did not find what he liked among the many treasures on the auction list. The finale item was a large pearl named Heart of the Ocean. Yi Xian just glanced at the introduction of the pearl, leaving aside those irrelevant words. After seeing the parameters of the pearl, he no longer had any interest and put the auction order on the small table beside him. Although this thing is the finale and is also a fine product among pearls, the size of this pearl is several times smaller than those in the hands of those little girls, and there is only this one. As time went by, more and more people came to the auction, including some local and nearby dignitaries. Among them, a young Western man wearing a black suit and looking elegant and dignified also took a seat and was looking at the auction list in his hand. Chapter 262, Determined to Win? The young man looked at the finale of the auction, the Heart of the Ocean, and nodded with satisfaction, as if he was determined to win it. Several dignitaries nearby saw that the young man was gazing at the Heart of the Ocean and said with a smile, "Mr. Eaton, I'm sure you will be able to keep the Heart of the Ocean." Ha ha ha, with Mr. Eaton's strength, there shouldn't be any surprises with the Heart of the Ocean. Let us congratulate him in advance. Well, this Heart of the Ocean is really good. It can be regarded as the best among all pearls. Hearing the words of the people around him, Eaton felt a little excited, but he still smiled and said lightly, "It's still too early. After all, auctioning depends on one's own strength. It's really uncertain who will get the treasure." The people around nodded. This was actually what they said just now, but at this moment, no matter who they were, they all liked the Heart of the Ocean very much. They all had ideas about the Heart of the Ocean in their hearts and wanted to get it. After all, this can be considered an excellent collectible. If you can get it, it will be worth the trip. Soon, amid the discussions and chatter of the crowd, as the auctioneer walked up to the auction stage with dignified manners, the auction officially began. "Welcome everyone to our auction. Now I declare that our auction is officially open. Everyone has received our auction sheet and their respective number plates. Now I will briefly introduce the relevant rules of the auction to you, and then we will welcome the first item." As the auctioneer began to speak, the scene gradually quieted down. After introducing the relevant auction rules, the auctioneer excitedly took the microphone and began to introduce the first item. "Ladies and gentlemen, now we are going to present the first lot. This is an old pocket watch from a European master from the last century. It is made of all metal, and every detail is carved by the master himself. It can be said that it has a very high collection value. There are a few small diamonds engraved on the dial. Although the carat weight is small, its collection value is greater than its material. We are now handing over the rights to the site to you all. The base price is 50,000, and each increase in price must not be less than 1,000. Yi Xian sat in his seat sipping tea and just glanced at the pocket watch. He had no interest in such things, so he ignored it. After a few scattered bids at the scene, the pocket watch finally fell into the hands of a Western collector, and the price was only 80,000. The previous items were also skipped by Yi Xian. Facing these things, Yi Xian had no desire to raise his placard. He just sat quietly in his seat and watched. When the finale item, the Heart of the Ocean, was auctioned, there was a commotion in the surrounding auction seats, and it was obvious that everyone was interested in the Heart of the Ocean. We are now at the end of our auction. It is also an exciting moment. We are about to welcome the finale of this auction, the Heart of the Ocean. I believe everyone is looking forward to this Heart of the Ocean. This top-quality pearl from the South Sea is impeccable in terms of roundness and glossiness. The reason for this name is that this pearl was fished out by a fisherman in a heart-shaped lagoon deep in the South China Sea. That's why it was given such a romantic name. We all know that whether a pearl can be called top quality depends not only on its roundness and glossiness, but also on whether it contains any flaws. I can tell you with confidence that this Heart of the Ocean is flawless. No matter from which angle you look at it, it is the epitome of perfection. Who will win the Heart of the Ocean today? I'm leaving the choice to the number plates in your hands. Our starting price is 1 million. Each bid increase must not be less than 50,000. The auctioneer began to introduce the Heart of the Ocean in a vivid and emotional manner, and finally the bidding process began in full swing. 1,100,000. As soon as the auctioneer finished speaking, a middle-aged man present directly raised the price by 100,000, raising the price of the pearl to a high of 1.1 million. However, this did not last long, and was soon completely drowned out by a chorus of bidding. 1,150,000. 1,200,000. 1,300,000. 3 million. Finally, after the auction had been going on for a while, Yi Xian raised the number plate in his hand for the first time. This was also his first bid in this auction. At this moment, there are still no less than a dozen people fighting for this pearl. Among them, the young man Eaton is determined to get it. He has been bidding from the very beginning until now, and each increase in price is no less than 100,000. Because of this, many people who originally wanted to compete had to give up. In front of Eaton, their strength was still not enough. 3.5 million. Just after Yi Xian called out the price, Eaton gently raised the number plate in his hand and directly raised the price by 500,000. As a result, the others who originally wanted to bid became a little hesitant. After all, the price had already reached such a high level, not to mention there was a competitor like Eaton. They no longer had any hope in their hearts. Alas, there is nothing I can do. Thinking of this, many people gritted their teeth, gave up the competition, and let go of the number plates in their hands. 3,550,000. Yi Xian smiled and didn't want to compete for the pearl, but he still symbolically called out the price again. 3,600,000. 3,650,000. 3,700,000. Afterwards, after Eaton raised the auction price to 3.7 million in a domineering manner, Yi Xian did not bid again. He didn't want this thing too much anyway, so he just gave it up. 3,700,000 at a time. 3,700,000 twice. 3,700,000 three times. Congratulations to Mr. Eaton for successfully bidding for our finale lot, the Heart of the Ocean. Amid the auctioneer's passionate shouts, the Heart of the Ocean was successfully won by Eaton. Congratulations Mr. Eaton, you really have the patience to win. Alas, what a pity. Mr. Eaton is still very powerful. We can't give him anything even if we want it. Mr. Eaton can be considered the real winner of this auction this time. At this time, several people around Eaton also expressed their opinions, which made Eaton's expression become a little proud. His face was full of smiles, and he felt so happy in his heart. Chapter 263 Playing Marbles. After arriving here, the auction was considered to be over. Just as everyone started to leave one after another, Eaton walked to Yi Xian's seat with a smile and expressed his gratitude to Yi Xian in Chinese that was fairly fluent. Sir, thank you so much for giving me such a treasure. I know you could have raised the price further, but I still want to thank you for giving up the item with such a heavy heart. Otherwise, I wouldn't have gotten what I wanted so easily. Yi Xian looked at Eaton, but just smiled faintly, straightened his clothes, and stood up. No problem, no need to thank me, this pearl is too small, and I don't even want to take it off. Ha! This is still considered small? Eaton's eyes suddenly became contemptuous, and he snorted coldly. Seeing Yi Xian being so rampant, he felt a little unhappy. After all, in his eyes, this pearl is already a top-grade product. Yi Xian actually said that this thing is too small. Is it possible for a person with a brain to say such a thing? Ha ha, did I hear it right? This pearl is called Shao. What a joke. No way. Is this guy really so ignorant about pearls? Or does he think that the synthetic things he has on hand are real? Put. I have to say, this is the biggest joke I've heard this year. The people around him happened to hear what Yi Xian said, and they couldn't help but sneer at him, with contempt in their eyes. Yeah. Dad. I won. At this moment, Yi Jing next to him jumped up and danced, and shouted to Yi Xian excitedly. When everyone heard this voice, they couldn't help but shift their gaze from Yi Xian to look at Yi Jing. Since the auction was not interesting to the children, they just played marbles on the side. But what's different is that the things these little guys use to play marbles are not those cheap glass beads made for children to play with, but pearls obtained from pirates before. Yi Jing excitedly came to Yi Xian holding the pearl, her expression full of joy of victory. Dad, we were playing marbles together just now, and I won all the marbles back. The little girl let Yi Xian look at the pearls in his hands and shared his happiness. In comparison, Yi Xia and the other girls behind him pursed their lips and looked unhappy. But this was just a scene of children playing together, but it scared Eaton and others around them. Seeing the huge pearls that Yi Jing's palms were almost full of, everyone's eyes were filled with shock and their bodies couldn't help but tremble. What the hell is this? It's so big. This is a pearl. When one of the dignitaries exclaimed, everyone's hearts were boiling with fear. They stared at the big pearls with their jaws almost dropping. This is not a glass ball, it's a pearl. You have to know that with pearls, as long as other qualities, such as gloss, roundness, and flaws, are the same, the larger they are, the rarer they are, and relatively speaking, the more expensive they will definitely be. According to research, for every millimeter the diameter of a pearl increases, the degree of cultivation will be greater, the time required to grow will be longer, and the resulting yield will be lower. Even if it is artificially cultivated pearls, those that can reach this size are extremely rare and hard to come by. However, many people present were quite knowledgeable about pearls. They came to the auction because of the heart of the ocean. They could tell at a glance that this did not look like artificially cultivated pearls, but were genuine naturally grown sea pearls. If the pearls are like this, then the price will rise sharply as the size increases a little bit. Even after the size reaches a certain limit, if it is a little bit bigger, the price will almost increase exponentially. The beads in Yi Jing's hands, no matter their luster, roundness, or fullness, are even more stunning than the previous heart of the ocean. Eaton was completely dumbfounded. He looked at the beads in Yi Jing's hand, and then at the heart of the ocean that he had just held in his hand so preciously. He suddenly felt that the thing he had photographed with so much difficulty had become dull. In this way, the price of any one of these huge pearls sparkling before their eyes would completely surpass that of the heart of the ocean. The key point is that these are not just one bead, there are no less than a dozen. Not to mention, Yi Xian not only did not preserve these beads properly, but also gave them to these little guys as toys. What the hell is this? For a moment, everyone looked at Yi Xian with expressions filled with fear, and their bodies couldn't help but tremble slightly. This is so scary, what kind of person is this? Even if you are rich, you can't play like this. At this point, everyone felt that they could no longer stay here, especially the few people who had just been sarcastic to Yi Xian. They all left the auction site in shame, not daring to stay for a moment longer. After everyone went outside, feeling the sea breeze, they still couldn't calm down. Oh my god! How could such a person come to Dasha Island? This is too scary. Alas, just now we were laughing at him for not knowing anything, but we didn't expect that he is really capable. But is it possible that this big pearl is fake? In shock, one of the young men raised an objection, and seemed a little unconvinced that this was all true. Alas, I was also skeptical before, but after careful observation, I found that these are really not fake. They are all genuine natural sea pearls. If each one is released, it will be enough to shock the jewelry industry all over the world. However, this view was immediately opposed by Eaton. He knew pearls very well and knew that they were not fake. Having said this, everyone was speechless and fell into silence. Wait, I remember who this person is. While everyone was silent, a wealthy businessman slapped his head, looked at everyone in surprise, and told them what he had seen and heard before. When I went to the harbor before, I saw a fleet. I was standing quite far away at the time, but I saw clearly that the people coming down from the fleet were very respectful to the Chinese man just now. Chapter 264, The Spirit Purifying Potion was stolen. Later, I went to ask other people who had witnessed it. According to them, this person was leading his family to Little Elephant Island. Originally, no ship was willing to go, but after waiting for a while, this fleet came directly. As for what happened next, I saw it with my own eyes. Not only did they return safely from Little Elephant Island, but they also brought back a lot of things. Hearing this, Eaton and the others were completely dumbfounded. After knowing these things, they were even more frightened. They opened their mouths wide, not knowing how to describe their feelings. This Little Elephant Island is the most dangerous place nearby and a forbidden place in everyone's mind. However, Yi Xian and his team were not only able to go through, they also had the courage to do so and even had a fleet specifically sent to pick them up. There is no need to explain what this concept is. The other party has far surpassed them in every aspect. But before, they still looked arrogant and even looked down on Yi Xian. Now knowing these things, whether it was Eaton or the others, their bodies were soaked in cold sweat brought by fear, their eyes were trembling violently, and they were all paralyzed by fear. Looking at the sunset in the distance slowly submerging into the sea level, the arrogance of the crowd just now seemed to disappear, and the self-righteous pride in their eyes could no longer be seen. Back to the other side, Yi Xian had already returned to the hotel with a few children. Yi Xia and the other little guys were still a little dissatisfied about having lost to Yi Jing just now. Besides, they were still not satisfied, so they started playing marbles again. The room was filled with cheers from the game. There was nothing to do at the moment, so Yi Xian sat with Wang Xinyao, watching the little guys play games with a smile on his face from time to time. However, when everyone was still immersed in the cheerful and peaceful atmosphere, thousands of miles away in China, everyone's nerves were tense because of one thing. Is this true? Say it again. Inside the Yanhuan military headquarters, a dragon general was emitting tremendous rage and roared into the conversation with cold eyes. Yes, we received intelligence that someone stole a sample of the Qingling potion. The identity of the other party is not yet clear, but we know that this group of people is now preparing to leave the country through the southwestern border. There was silence on the phone for a while, and then a stern voice was heard. Okay, I got it. The dragon general nodded, then hung up the phone. His already stern face became even colder than before. Without wasting any time, General Long immediately called Jiang Xingxi, the head of the Southwest branch. Old Jiang, do you know what happened? After answering the phone, although Long Jiang's tone was still serious, it was much better than before. This was also because of his own psychological quality. He knew in his heart that when facing such a situation, the more he couldn't keep calm, the more likely he was to make mistakes. I know that too. These clowns are really tired of living. They even dared to take advantage of this Qingling potion. Jiang Xingxi took a deep breath and replied in a calm tone. I have received the specific intelligence and location. I am now on the helicopter. We will intercept immediately. As he spoke, Jiang Xingxi's tone revealed a cold murderous intent, and a terrifying aura instantly spread throughout his body. Okay, then, old Jiang, you take care of yourself. After all, since these guys dare to come here, they must be well prepared. No matter what the cost, we must not let this Qingling potion leak out. Don't worry, you and I both know what this Qingling potion means to China. Okay. We'll contact you anytime if there's anything. After hanging up the phone, Jiang Xingxi looked through the helicopter window at the dense forest in the southwest with a serious face, and then solemnly instructed the military elites on the helicopter. I believe you all know what our mission is today and how important it is. No matter what the cost, we cannot let these bastards get out. Do you understand? Clear. The elites were already ready at this time, their faces were covered with grease paint, their weapons were loaded, and they responded crisply. At this time in the sky, several helicopters were flying at full speed towards their destination, and in the dense forest, an elite team had already begun to move through. Captain, the enemy is about 3 kilometers away from us through satellite monitoring. A fully armed member holding a satellite monitoring device reported with a serious look. The captain with a scar on the corner of his eye waved to the team to stop, observed the surrounding terrain, and quickly made tactical adjustments. Okay, you lead a team to encircle the enemy from the right-wing mountain range and try to reach the border before the enemy reaches the border. We will continue to chase them at full speed. Yes. After quickly responding to the order, the elite members tacitly divided into 2 teams. One team rushed towards the mountain ridge beside like a ghost, and the other team, led by the captain, continued to move through the jungle at a speed almost like a cheetah. Not far from the border, a team dressed in black tactical uniforms stood next to a stone tablet, looking into the distance at the sky ahead. Ha ha ha, we're almost there, that's great, we finally got it. A tall man with stubble all over his chin laughed wildly, as if the mission had been successfully completed and a celebration banquet was already in front of him. He was very smug and raised his middle finger to the back with contempt. I thought the Chinese military was so powerful. We've already gotten here, and they haven't caught up yet. Brian, don't be careless. We haven't even left China yet, so don't be too happy. A middle-aged man at the head of the team glanced at the tall man seriously. In his hand wrapped in tactical gloves, he was holding a small box made of silver alloy. Inside was the only purpose of their risking their lives this time, a brand new refreshing potion. Their team is composed of veteran mercenaries from the West. Although they are from different countries, they are all from many world-famous top special forces, and their strength should not be underestimated. Boss, I don't think these guys are that powerful. Since we were able to get these things, it already proves that they are all weaklings. Chapter 265 Fear. However, the tall man remained disdainful, holding the gun in one hand and chewing half a piece of beef jerky in the other. Stop talking nonsense, the mission is urgent, let's get on with our journey. At this moment, the captain of the team's eyes suddenly narrowed, his heart was beating at a strange speed, and he felt uneasy. Captain, I think you should go back and relax. There's no need to be so nervous. These Bang! But before the guy could finish his words, they were abruptly stopped by a burst of gunfire that echoed through the surrounding jungle. Then his head was completely blown apart. Before he could even take one last look at this beautiful world, his body convulsed and he died beyond deadness. There are enemies. Hide! The captain broke out in a cold sweat and reacted instantly. The team members also started to act quickly, found the best cover around them, and leaned down to cover their bodies. I can't even tell from which direction the bullet came. The captain cried out in his heart. Although he reacted immediately, he couldn't capture the sniper's position. He couldn't help but panic. Captain, what should we do? Should we still head towards the border now? The other team members lost their relaxed attitude and broke out in cold sweats, suddenly feeling a little overwhelmed. Each of them is considered to be a top-notch sniper, proficient in various firearm skills, but with the sudden shot just now, they could not tell where the attack came from and how far away it was from them. However, judging from its power, it must be an anti-material weapon with extraordinary destructive power, which completely disrupted the thoughts of these mercenaries. Let's go! Hurry! We must get this spiritual purification potion out. The captain gritted his teeth, knowing that if he fought to the last, facing an unknown number of pursuers, this would not be a good idea. However, if they turned around, the opponent's sniper would not be a pushover, but the captain had no way to deal with it. The current situation made them feel like they were doomed in an instant. Well, God bless us, let's go. The other team members also understood what the captain meant, so they waited for the right opportunity, jumped up from the spot, and then ran desperately towards the borderline not far ahead. Bang! 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 However, just as these guys stood up, several dense sniper rifle roars were heard behind them again. Several unlucky guys had half of their bodies broken into pieces or their heads exploded directly, and they didn't even know how they died. With the sound of bodies falling to the ground after the gunshots, the captains and others running in the front felt their hearts trembling violently. A chill rising from their backs to the top of their heads made them shiver continuously. The tension in their hearts had reached an indescribable level. Damn it! These bastards run pretty fast. The captain of the chasing team behind him smiled coldly, and then spoke solemnly to the elites from the 8 major families beside him. Everyone, I'm going to trouble you next. Don't worry, these clowns can't get away. There was a hint of bloodthirsty madness in the eyes of several people. After agreeing, they quickly disappeared into the dense forest. Rustle, rustle. As they got closer and closer to the border, the rustling sound of branches rubbing against each other echoed in the ears of several people. For a moment, they were in a panic and saw enemies everywhere. However, these experienced mercenaries, who had gone through countless battles, were on the verge of complete collapse. Almost there. Almost there. The captain's entire body was soaked with sweat and his eyes were aching, but he was still staring at the boundary marker, which was only a few hundred meters away. Where do you want to go? However, at this moment, a playful mocking voice rang in the ears of one of the team members, which made the already exhausted guy's eyes almost pop out, and he instinctively drew out a dagger in the direction of the sound. You are just a trifle skilled in knife fighting with your grandfather. You are still too young. In the blink of an eye, the elite of the 8 major families who attacked like a ghost waved his sleeves, and a silver light fell on his hand, and flashed towards the guy's throat like lightning. So fast. The team member's pupils flashed scarlet, then gradually dimmed. His body sank and he fell to the ground. However, in just such a moment, all the mercenaries except the captain were wiped out by the elites of the 8 major families in an instant. Damn it! How could this happen? The captain cursed inwardly, and with power coming from nowhere under his feet, his speed increased again, and he ran desperately towards another place in the border area. He knew very well in his heart that as long as he passed this boundary marker, he would be safe, and as long as he passed this boundary marker, his mission would be accomplished. 100 meters. 50 meters. 20 meters. As he got closer and closer to the boundary marker, his pace gradually became faster and a ray of life gradually appeared in his eyes. Day. However, when this guy was less than 10 meters away from the boundary marker, a tongue of fire suddenly shot down from the sky and descended on the ground in front of this guy like a rainstorm. With this guy's psychological defenses completely collapsed, and he collapsed to the ground, throwing the box of Qingling potion in his hand aside. A helicopter circled down from the sky, and then countless elite members surrounded this guy with guns. It all seemed to happen in just a moment. Still running. Let me see where you can run to. Jiang Xingxi strode over with a hot temper, walked up to the only surviving captain of the mercenary team who was slumped on the ground, and slapped him hard in the face. You are quite capable. How dare you come to China to steal things? Who gave you the courage? Jiang Xingxi looked coldly at the guy who had been defeated, took out a pistol from his waist, and put it against the guy's forehead. You can't kill me. I'm a prisoner now. It's wrong for you to do this. This guy felt the cold muzzle of the gun, his body trembled violently, and he stammered as he looked at Jiang Xingxi. Prisoners? My southwest branch doesn't need any prisoners. Jiang Xingxi snorted coldly, slowly put his hand on the trigger, and fired without hesitation. Bang! A flower of blood suddenly burst out on this guy's forehead. Before he could finish his last sentence, he fell to the ground, his eyes filled with fear of death. Chapter 266 As if it never happened. Jiang Xingxi wiped the blood splattered on his face with disgust, picked up the silver ally box beside him, opened it, and saw that it was the Qingling potion that was stolen by these guys. As for these mercenaries, in this pursuit which did not last long, all of them were shot dead or directly wiped out, and only now did they get back this soul-clearing potion. Although these people are relatively experienced mercenaries and previously belonged to various top special forces, they are nothing in front of the elite military members of the Southwest Branch and the people of the 8th level family. But even so, no one dared to neglect these guys. After all, Brother Yi had repeatedly warned that this thing must not leave the country. Even if Chinese people want to use this Qingling medicine, they have to go through strict review measures and use it on site at designated places. Each person is limited to once, and it is a completely real name system. For China, this Qingling potion is too precious. It is a great help in improving the physical fitness of the people and the strength of the military. Therefore, such a thing must never be in the hands of any country other than China. Fortunately, Yi Xian had warned before that there would definitely be some guys with unrepentant ambitions who would take risks to seize the Qingling potion. It seems that this was true, and these guys couldn't help themselves after all. Report to General Jiang Long, the mission is complete. A total of 17 enemies were killed and a bottle of Qingling potion was recovered. Please give instructions. Organize the team and clean up the battlefield. Yes. After the military members at the scene reported the specific mission situation to Jiang Xingxi, they hurriedly began to deal with the bodies of these guys. Some evidence also needed to be preserved. Jiang Xingxi took out his cell phone and dialed the same number. Lao Jiang, what's going on? I was just about to call you. Don't worry, every one of these bastards has gone to see their god. Jiang Xingxi replied with a smile, feeling relieved. Sorry, Lao Jiang, I have some bad news for you. Because of insufficient intelligence, we have only just learned that there were 2 teams that came to steal the Qingling potion this time, and now the other team has already escaped across the border. What? Upon hearing the news, Jiang Xingxi's sweat broke out in a stream. Without saying anything more, he hung up the phone and quickly called Yi Xian. Okay, I got it. Here, Yi Xian was playing marbles with a few children. After hearing the news, his expression remained calm and he nodded slightly. It's okay, I'll check it out. Girls, you guys play first, I'm going to go find your sister Bai Ling and Uncle Longshi. Smiling and rubbing the faces of the little ones, Yi Xian stood up and walked to Longshi, Bai Ling, and others on the other side of the living room and briefly explained the matter to them. Go check it out, quickly. Okay, Brother Yi. The 2 men looked solemn upon hearing this and immediately stood up and left. The children saw that Yi Xian was acting a little strange, so they followed him and looked at him worriedly. Dad, what happened? It's okay, you guys play first, Daddy has to go cook soon. Yi Xian smiled dotingly, shook his head at the children, then walked into the kitchen and started cooking for the little ones, as if nothing had happened. After a while, Longshi made several phone calls repeatedly on the balcony, then walked to Yi Xian with a slightly serious expression and reported what he had just investigated. Brother Yi, these guys should belong to the Tianxia organization. Speaking of the name of this organization, Longshi couldn't help but think of many things in his mind. Although this organization is not very famous in China, it is considered a powerful organization in the whole world. These people have been traveling around the West all year round. Most of their members are veteran mercenaries or retired special forces elites from various countries. There are also some powerful killers. The name of this organization had already become famous in the West several years ago. Because of the powerful force within its system and the depth of its influence, almost anyone or organization that provoked them would either be completely wiped out or gain nothing. In an operation 4 years ago, the Tianxia organization only sent out 2 teams, but because of the high bounty, they wiped out a small armed force in a certain place that was armed to the teeth, which shocked the entire West. Although these guys seem to have been a lot more low-key from that time until now, they are still terrifying existences that people are afraid of in the Western underground world. So it's Tianxia, then this isn't surprising. Yi Xian's expression remained calm. He took off the apron he had worn when cooking and rubbed his wrist. Then Brother Yi, what should we do? The thing should still be in their hands, right? Yi Xian looked at the sky outside the window and did not directly answer Longshi's question. Instead, he asked about the Qingling potion. Well, it should be. According to the information I have learned now, they have successfully taken the Qingling potion out. Longshi nodded. He knew the amount of the refreshing potion, but he was not too panicked. Okay, I can't control what these guys do outside, but now that they have crossed this line and set foot on Chinese soil, they must bear the consequences. Yi Xian's eyes flashed, and his tone was cold and contemptuous as he looked at Longshi and said indifferently, "Notify them and kill them." Yes. Longshi nodded, turned around, took out his cell phone, and immediately arranged the matter. At this time in China, the atmosphere was even more solemn, because the Qingling potion was taken out of the border by another team. The entire Yanhuang military was like an earthquake, and everyone was getting restless. In the meeting rooms of each branch, all the dragon generals sat upright in their chairs, staring at the big screen in front of them. Because things happened so quickly, there was no time to gather at the headquarters for consultation, so we could only use video conferencing. In addition to the meeting here, the military members outside have also begun to get ready to receive orders and take action at any time. However, even so, the expressions on everyone's faces were extremely tense. No one was unaware of the importance of this Qingling potion. Now that this thing had been taken out of the country by foreign forces, how could they not be worried? Chapter 267 Attack. Everyone, we have now found out the identities of these people. This group of people is a Western force called Tianxia. I believe that you all know more or less about this organization, right? On the screen of the meeting, a middle-aged man with a dignified demeanor and a powerful presence, with 4 golden stars on his shoulders shining brightly, was looking at the screen with a serious expression as he announced the bad news to all branches. Tianxia? It's actually these guys. They are so brave. Jiang Xingxi slammed the table in the conference room and stood up. Veins bulged on his face, his eyes were extremely cold, and a terrifying murderous aura suddenly emanated from his body, as if it was enough to tear everything apart. It seems that these guys are too rampant abroad. Now they have become so arrogant. How can we tolerate this? Yes. These beasts should be killed immediately. They are a nuisance to the world if they stay in this world. Damn it! Are we really afraid of these guys? We can just wipe them out. At this time, except for Jiang Xingxi, the other dragon generals were all furious. They all stood up and slammed the table, threatening to destroy this rampant organization. After all, these guys were so bold that they came directly to the Chinese territory they were guarding and forcibly seized the Qingling potion. They simply did not take their Yanhuang military department seriously. What is more crucial is that once such things go abroad, no one can predict what will happen. Everyone, I know how you feel right now, and I am as angry as you all. But now we are still facing many problems. What should we do about it? There is no practical solution for the time being. Feeling the anger of the crowd, the middle-aged dragon general on the screen groaned. Although his face was full of anger, he suppressed it and continued to speak to the crowd. We cannot act on our own right now. We have no idea where their organization is now or where the medicine has been transported. And even if we want to destroy them, these people are active in the West, and we are far away in China. What should we do? Should we fight or not? We still need to discuss it now. After hearing the words of the middle-aged dragon general, everyone calmed down and understood the predicament they were in. They belong to China and cannot be dispatched easily now. Besides, the Tianxia organization is located in the West, so even if they want to fight, it will be difficult. Even so, all military units are now fully prepared to go out. On the other side of the world, in the Tianxia organization space, all the organization's top leaders gathered together and sat around a large round table. In the middle of the round table in front of them, there was an extremely sturdy box, and everyone's eyes were fixed on the box. They all knew what it was. And this is exactly the Qingling potion that they had brought back from China with great difficulty. It is something that the whole world is paying attention to except China. After hearing about the efficacy of this potion, the whole world was excited. However, before they could be happy for long, they suddenly learned that this potion was only for use in China, and it was forbidden to provide information to foreign countries. This made many countries feel jealous, because the effect of the Qingling potion was witnessed by the whole world, and during this period, many organizations and forces also set their sights on using the Qingling potion. But unfortunately, this Qingling potion is distributed in China under the organization of the military and is uniformly managed and organized by the military. This forces many people who want to get involved to wait and see. Finally, we got this thing. Ha ha ha. This is a great thing. I wonder how many people around the world are still waiting and watching, and we actually got it. Yes, if we can copy the things in here, the profits we can get will be so huge that we don't know how much it will amount to. Such horrific profits can be infinitely expanded, and this is something that is in our hands. As for the pricing, it is naturally up to us to decide. At this moment, the senior executives' eyes were gleaming with excitement as they discussed the profits of this Qingling potion. Humph! No one is allowed to touch this thing. But just as everyone was discussing heatedly, the leader sitting in the main seat snorted coldly, bringing the discussion to an abrupt end. Listen carefully, even though we have the item back, we cannot touch it now. I am going to give it to that important person next. Seeing the leader's serious look, everyone fell silent. After all, even if the Qingling potion was taken back, they couldn't decide what to do with it. This time, although we snatched food from China, we are now back to our own territory, but we still have to be careful of China. Seeing that no one spoke, the leader coughed softly a few times, talked about China, and gave a reminder with a stern expression. Boss, we are sitting here. It is unlikely that the Chinese people will come to us, right? One of the senior executives looked at the leader with some disapproval and said with a smile. Now that we have brought the things here, nothing should happen. Are they going to attack us? Hearing this, the other senior executives also nodded in agreement, still looking as if nothing had happened. Boss, to be honest, I don't think they dare to come here. If these people dare to come, it will be different. This is not in China. We will make sure they never return. That's right. Besides, this is a no man's land. Even if we are not mentioned, other forces will not let the Chinese people easily. However, at this moment, before these people could finish the words stuck in their mouths, they heard a whistling sound breaking through the air. All the senior executives, including the top executives, stood up at once, staring blankly at the ceiling above their heads. At this moment, the solid wall was shaking slightly, and dirt, rocks and dust were falling out from the cracks, as if there was an earthquake. Is this an earthquake? This is impossible. A senior executive exclaimed, but after saying this, he almost slapped himself. How could this be an earthquake? Now they were certain that they were being attacked. The enemy was coming with great force, and even had helicopters and heavy weapons. Chapter 268. Who is it? Who on earth is this? How dare he be so bold as to provoke our Tian Sha? The leader's face darkened and he couldn't help but curse, still guessing the other party's identity in his heart. However, he did not immediately think that these people were from China. After all, they came too quickly and it was unlikely that they were these people. Instantly, the leader thought of the other forces around him. Could it be that because the news had leaked out, those guys knew that they had the Qingling potion? Bang! But before anyone could figure it out, almost in the next second, a burst of sparks suddenly burst out from a nearby room, and then the violent explosion almost broke everyone's eardrums, and a sense of fear permeated everyone's face. Run! There are missiles! The leader covered his face, which was scratched by gravel, and roared, but there was only a buzzing sound echoing in everyone's ears. No one heard the leader's shout, and even he himself could not hear clearly what he said. At this time, except for a few unlucky guys who were buried by the rubble from the explosion, almost everyone ran out. But when they got outside, the scenes they saw made everyone completely dumbfounded. They just stood there in a daze, not knowing how to describe what they saw. In the sky, several heavy armed helicopters were hovering above their base, with flames from machine guns sweeping indiscriminately, and missiles were fired from above from time to time. What's going on? Who is this person? The high-ranking officials and leaders were getting a little impatient. How could other forces come to snatch the Qingling potion? Looking at the situation, wasn't this to destroy them? Inside the base, many members of the organization were seen hurriedly attacking the helicopter with weapons in their hands. However, the firepower in their hands was not enough to match the powerful firepower of the helicopter. In just a moment, it was completely torn apart by the dense artillery fire. Although many members of the base still tried to resist, most of them just fled in panic amid the gunfire, their eyes filled with fear, and their weapons had been thrown away nowhere. Oh no! They're coming down! Then people cried out in surprise, and these armed helicopters began to circle downwards, and then slowly descended to a height of more than 10 meters. Figures jumped down one after another, began to disperse, and started shooting at the members of the organization below. These people did not hold back at all, and after the flashes of fire from the muzzles of their guns, members of the Tianxia organization either had blood bursting out of their chests or had a hole pierced through their heads, and a large number of them fell down in an instant. However, these Tianxia members who usually thought themselves to be powerful, invincible and arrogant, had no power to fight back in front of these people. In the smoke and dust all around them, they left this world in surprise before they could even see the enemy clearly. They wore uniforms, specially made combat uniforms, holding rifles in their hands, constantly pulling the trigger gently, reaping the lives of these people one by one, their eyes full of indifference, as if killing these Tianxia members was just like stepping on an ant, which was not surprising at all. The enemy is coming. Counterattack quickly. Counterattack. There are snipers, and there are machine guns from helicopters above. How can we fight back? It's so scary. Who are these people? They are simply a group of demons from hell. For a moment, the sounds of gunfire, artillery fire, roars, smoke and flames filled the entire Tianxia base. Almost every second, countless Tianxia members lost their lives. It can be said that this was not a battle at all, it was just a massacre, a one-sided massacre without any suspense. The leader was standing under the eaves in the distance at this time. The faces of countless senior executives around him had turned as pale as corpses. There was no trace of blood, and they all collapsed on the spot. That's right, surrounded by such artillery fire, they had no hope of survival at all. The members of Tianxia were like paper tigers in front of these people and had no power to fight back at all. Who are these people? They are too scary, aren't they? A senior executive stammered and collapsed on the ground, with despair in his eyes. He could not imagine that there was such a power that could wipe them out so powerfully. Damn it! The leader's face turned black at this time, and he was still holding tightly in his arms the box of the spiritual cleansing potion. This was something they had spent a lot of money to get, and when the crisis happened just now, he was the first one to run away with it. Looking at the surrounding high-level officials and the wiped-out members of the organization in disarray, the leader cursed them as trash in his heart, and ran to the corner of another building with the box in his arms without hesitation. The sounds of gunfire and wailing around him continued to echo in his ears, and the leader was drenched in cold sweat, but he still ran forward, muttering something in his mouth. As long as I run out and give this thing to that big shot, I can get back everything I lost today. Although he witnessed with his own eyes today that the Tianxia organization he had carefully cultivated was almost cut in half by the enemy, and was completely destroyed, although the leader was also angry in his heart, he also knew that as long as the Qingling potion in his hand was still there, he still had a glimmer of hope. But just as the leader's pace was getting faster and faster, he suddenly saw a figure in front of him in his blurred vision, walking slowly towards him with leisurely steps, as if he was taking a stroll. Who are you? The leader's eyelids twitched violently. He stopped and looked at the other party, and took out a pistol from his waist. If I were you, I would just put the box on the ground and shoot myself with a pistol. The young man in front of him looked at the leader with amusement and licked his lips gently. He did not take the leader who was pointing a gun at him seriously at all. Don't even think about it. Go to hell. The leader screamed hysterically, aiming at the young man and pulling the trigger, with bloodshot and madness in his eyes. Bang! After a gunshot, a body fell to the ground with a thud. However, the corpse was not the young man in front, but the leader holding a pistol. This guy looked at the bloody hole on his forehead and the blood flowing down his nose. His eyes were filled with incredible light. The finger that was about to pull the trigger suddenly lost strength, and he was instantly deader than dead. Chapter 269, Deterrence. If it's not yours, remember never to touch it in the future. The young man smiled playfully, waved at a sniper point in the distance that was emitting green smoke, walked forward leisurely, and picked up the box that fell beside the leader. Don't kill us. Don't kill us. We really don't know anything. Please, this was done by the leader, we don't know about it. Now that the potions are back in your hands, please spare our lives. At this moment, under countless gunshots, the few senior executives who had luckily avoided being killed at the beginning by hiding at the door of the building were now kneeling on the ground, begging with tears and snot to the people in front of them. The leader was holding a silver alloy box in his hand. He looked at these guys coldly and waved to the people around him. Kill. The man's voice was crisp and cold, his eyes were full of indifference, and he turned and walked back. Day. The moment this man turned around, several people around him pulled the trigger of their guns without hesitation, and these senior executives who were kneeling on the ground and begging were shot into sieves in an instant. Lying in a pool of blood, their eyes were wide open, filled with fear, revealing their attachment to this world and their unwillingness to die. It had been less than 5 minutes since this group of people started attacking the base of the Tianxia organization. However, their attack was like a crushing force. They suppressed the enemy with thundering means and quickly resolved this battle between two opponents with a huge disparity in strength. At this time, the base of the Tianxia organization had completely turned into ruins. Everything was in ruins, with bullet holes and blood. The surrounding air was also filled with smoke and the smell of blood. For a moment, it was difficult for people to open their eyes. After a while, as the smoke and dust slowly dissipated, all that was left was that the entire base was littered with corpses. All the members of the Tianxia organization fell in a pool of blood, one by one. The surrounding broken walls were also covered with minced meat and body parts. The scene was as bloody and horrifying as the Avicii hell. Even people with strong psychological endurance would probably close their eyes after seeing this scene. The only ones still standing were those who were wearing special combat uniforms and brutally slaughtering the Tianxia members. They were looking at everything that they had caused with their own hands with blank expressions, without a single ripple, as if they were used to it. "Brother Long, I got the stuff." The leader looked at the box in his hand and reported indifferently into the phone. "Okay. I got it." After saying a few words, the man put away the phone and looked at the person who had just walked up to him. "How is it? Are there any survivors?" "They have all been shot dead." "Okay, let's go." The man nodded with satisfaction, holding the box in his hand, and walked towards the armed helicopter parked in the center of the base. Soon, the others boarded the helicopter one after another and left the place soon. After a while, the other forces around heard that the artillery fire here was gradually dying down, and then they dared to send people to the Tianxia organization base. However, no matter which organization they were from, when they saw the scene from the Tianxia organization, they were all dumbfounded, and their expressions froze in place. "Who did this? They killed them all. Oh my God, this method is too cruel. They are all wiped out directly, not a single one is left." Looking at the firepower just now, these people didn't intend to leave Tianxia and his men alive from the beginning. People from various forces who came to the scene gasped when they saw the hellish scene before them. The scene was littered with corpses and broken limbs, and there was no sign of life at all. This also caused chaos among the various organizations. After all, this was the Tianxia organization, and its strength was not comparable to that of ordinary organizations. But who is this person? He actually took such a short time to completely eliminate the Tianxia organization. Holding back the churning in their stomachs, people from various forces searched through the ruins. They saw the top leaders who had been beaten to pieces and the leader of the organization whose head had been blown off. But these were not the things that surprised them the most. What they could not accept the most was that after searching for 2 or 3 rounds, they did not find the bodies of the attackers except the bodies of the members of the Tianxia organization. After discovering these, no matter who they were, their bodies couldn't help but start to tremble. Although this was a surprise attack, the opponent was Tianxia after all. He had many elites under his command, and he was an existence that countless people feared. No matter what, even if they killed this Tianxia, there couldn't be no casualties at all, right? Thinking of this, people's eyes became more solemn. It was enough to see that the person who attacked the Tianxia organization was a terrifying existence. Not long after, the news of the destruction of the Tianxia organization was reported by these organizations and forces, and soon spread to the entire world, and the whole world began to report this news. Foreign forums were also completely blown up. Some photos of the scene were uploaded to certain foreign forums before they could be processed. When people saw these bloody pictures, they found it difficult to accept this fact. Oh my God! Tianxia was actually destroyed. It's incredible. A being as powerful as Tianxia can never be destroyed. Alas, who did I offend? This is so tragic. The related posts were quickly detonated by the comments below. No matter who it was difficult to accept the news. After all, it all happened too fast. Other mercenary organizations also gradually learned the news. After seeing the pictures and videos obtained from the inside, their heartbeats accelerated and cold sweat broke out on the ground. Such means were really too cruel. If they were asked to do these things, first of all, not to mention whether they could destroy this Tiansha, they would never be able to do it as cleanly and efficiently as others. The news spread very quickly, even people in China soon learned about it. At this time, everyone in the Huaxia Yanhuang military was in a meeting, still discussing specific matters, and were about to prepare to send troops. However, when they got the news, everyone was stunned. What was going on? They were still discussing what to do in the last second, but in the next second they learned that the organization was destroyed. Their heads were blank and they didn't know how to describe it. Chapter 270. Nothing seems to happen. But just as everyone in the meeting was staring at each other in amazement, a man walked in carrying a box. As this person opened the box, the dragon generals saw the refreshing potion inside and they finally breathed a sigh of relief. Who did this? Looking at the person who brought in the box, everyone looked at him curiously. General Yi Long did it. General Yi Long. When everyone heard that Yi Xian had arranged this, they were all stunned for a moment, but they quickly reacted. To be honest, the moment they received the news, they all guessed this possibility in their hearts, but when they got the confirmed news, they still felt an indescribable shock. After all, this is in the West, and in the territory of their Tianxia organization. How strong is Yi Xian to be able to have such thundering means? Thinking about this, everyone was filled with emotion. After all, apart from Yi Xian, there was no one else who could do this. At the same time, in a manor in the West, a tall figure stood in the lobby. This figure just stood there, but it was enough to make people feel an indescribable aura. This aura made people feel suffocated, revealing absolute power and contempt for everything. Of course, this does not come from arrogance, but from his own self-confidence, a confidence that he can control everything. Behind this figure, there is a magic dragon flag. The eyes of the magic dragon look down on all directions, as if it has an evil nature and is indifferent to all living things. Gazing into the distance, the figure then looked at the news about the destruction of the Tianxia organization on the mobile phone in his hand, and a playful smile appeared on the corner of his mouth. Let's have some fun. While the world was still in shock over the destruction of the Tianxia organization, Yi Xian, who was still on Daxia Island, was playing games with a few children, looking like a super dad. After receiving the news, Longshu immediately walked to Yi Xian and reported the news about the Tianxia organization. Brother Yi, it's done. The sky demon has completely disappeared now. Okay, I got it. Yi Xian nodded, then looked out the window with sharp eyes. After a moment's silence, he gave Longshu a few more instructions. Oh, right, tell them all to go west, disperse, and stay where they are. Good. Longshu's pupils dilated slightly, and when he heard Yi Xian's words, he felt a great shock in his heart. He was not a fool, and of course he knew that what Brother Yi did made sense. However, he was puzzled as to what Brother Yi was going to do. Although Yi Xian's tone and expression were very calm just now, Longshu suddenly felt that a storm was about to come. Of course, although he was not sure about Yi Xian's intention, Longshu still carried out the order without hesitation. Dad, you and Uncle Ryuya have been talking secretly lately. Do you have any secrets? A few little guys looked at these and came to Yi Xian curiously, staring at him with their sleepy eyes and asked. Ha, it's nothing. Of course we are discussing things to do for fun. By the way, what do you want to eat tonight? Dad will make it for you. Yi Xian smiled dotingly, avoided the children's questions, and turned the focus to eating. Dad, then I want to eat steamed fish. I want garlic scallops. And me, I want fried prawns. When they heard about food, the little guys instantly shifted their attention and started talking about what they wanted to eat, and their stomachs started to growl. Come on, let's go together. Yi Xian smiled and nodded, then took the little ones to the kitchen. Then Mom will go with you. Wang Xinyao at the side also smiled, followed Yi Xian and a few little guys into the kitchen. After dinner, Yi Xian called Longshu, looked at him calmly, and spoke softly. You make some arrangements and ask them to put pressure on the West. Clear. Longshu's eyes darkened, and after agreeing, he started to get busy. Wang Xinyao was looking at her phone at the side. She didn't ask much about Yi Xian's affairs, but instead looked at the recent weather conditions. The weather has been pretty good during this period, but it's about to get colder. Honey, the temperature is going to drop soon, and it will be quite affected here. Yi Xian nodded, looked at the slightly thin clothes of the little guys, touched his chin, and said with a smile. Why don't we take the kids shopping for some clothes while the weather is still nice? It's time to buy you some clothes too. Well, and your husband, we can go out for a walk. Wang Xinyao stretched, stood up with a smile, and looked at the little kids who were still playing with pearls. Children, mommy and daddy will take you out to buy clothes, okay? Okay. Let's go buy clothes. The little ones jumped up happily when they heard that, trotted back to the room, got their small sun protection clothes, and followed Wang Xinyo and Yi Xian out. When they came outside, they saw the largest shopping mall in the entire Daxia Island, which gathered brands from all over the world and customers from all over the world. The square in front of the mall is already crowded with people. Here you can see people from all over the world and feel the collision of different cultures. Several little ones walked hand in hand in the square. Seeing that there were a lot of people here and knowing that it would be easy to get lost, they did not run around, but followed Yi Xian and Wang Xinyo obediently. Wow! There are more people here than on the beach. Yi Xia raised his head and looked at the crowd around him, his eyes full of excitement. Dad, but the weather is still nice now, why are we in a hurry to buy clothes? Feeling the heat in the air, Yi Xi looked at Yi Xian with some confusion. Although she was happy to come here to buy clothes, she didn't know why he was in a hurry to come here. The weather now was still a typical summer weather. Ha, Xiaoxi, the weather is indeed good now, but if the temperature drops suddenly, we will have nothing to wear. Yi Xian smiled and rubbed the little guy's head lovingly. Dad, I know. This is prevention. Hearing the conversation between the two, Yi Jing on the side rolled her eyes and raised her head towards Yi Xian in a mischievous manner. Chapter 271 No Mercy. Well, Jingjing is really smart, what she said is absolutely right. Yi Xian nodded in appreciation. Wang Xinyo, who was listening, couldn't help but smile. These little guys are getting smarter and smarter. Soon, the family went up to the luxury brand area on the 5th floor while chatting and laughing. After arriving here, the number of people started to decrease slowly. After all, this floor only sold expensive luxury brands. Even a piece of clothing that was claimed to be low-end luxury cost nearly $1,000. Not everyone could afford it. After everyone came up, they could clearly feel the difference between this place and other places. The decoration tone and texture of the entire first floor alone far surpassed the other floors below. Outside or inside each shop, there are rest areas specially set up for their customers, providing coffee, snacks, and other services, which looks very thoughtful. At first glance, there are luxury brands such as Chanel, Prada, and Versace, almost every one of which has chain stores all over the world. After strolling around for a while, Yi Xian and Wang Xinyo didn't find anything particularly good looking with the little ones, but Wang Xinyo bought some sunscreen and isolation lotion for the little ones from Chanel. Finally, everyone arrived at the entrance of the Armani store. The shopping guide at the door saw Yi Xian and his group and hurriedly came over to greet them with enthusiasm. His friendliness and service level made people feel very comfortable. Hello, sir and madam, welcome to our Armani Daxia Island branch. Please come in. Yi Xian took Wang Xinyao's wrist, smiled politely at the shopping guide, and then walked in with the little ones. Madam and sir, we have many categories here, including cosmetics and skincare products, clothing and luggage. What would you like to see today? Take us to see the clothes. Okay, everyone please follow me. The shopping guide bowed politely and led Yi Xian and his group to the clothing area. Under the bright lights and spacious layout, there were all kinds of men's and women's clothing on display. At this moment, there were also a few people choosing clothes inside. Wang Xinyo didn't look at her own clothes. She went to the men's clothing section first and started looking for clothes for Yi Xian. Carefully stroking and feeling the texture of the clothes, and selecting the style and design of the clothes, Wang Xinyo had a virtuous and gentle smile on her face. After all, she was choosing clothes for her beloved husband, so she took it more seriously than looking at her own clothes. The little ones were not restrained by these things. They looked at men's clothing, then at women's clothing, and seemed to be enjoying themselves. I arrived at a special display stand in the front, where a shirt with a splash ink landscape pattern was displayed. The design of this shirt follows the style of traditional shirts, but it is combined with Chinese-style design. The ink splashing style is also designed just right, and it looks very eye-catching. Wang Xinyo walked over and fell in love with the shirt at first sight. She felt that the material of the shirt was of top quality and thought that Yi Xian would look very handsome in it. Shopping guide, I want this dress. Without thinking too much, Wang Xinyo waved to the shopping guide beside her and prepared to buy the shirt for Yi Xian. Well, ma'am, you have a good taste. This is the last piece of this dress we have left. The shopping guide came over with a smile and introduced the dress carefully. Ma'am, this shirt is a new product designed by our Armani design team this season. It is also a limited edition and is selling very well in stores around the world. Well, hold it up for me, I want this one. Wang Xinyo nodded, and was very satisfied with the shirt. She couldn't help but think of how Yi Xian looked wearing this shirt. Okay, ma'am, wait a moment. However, just as the shopping guide was about to pack for Wang Xinyo, a young man suddenly walked in hurriedly and rushed in front of Wang Xinyo and the shopping guide. I have already ordered this dress. As they were talking, several girls and young men followed in. Several girls and young men were dressed elegantly, wearing branded clothes from head to toe. It was obvious that they all came from wealthy families. The girls had heavy makeup on their faces and were wearing revealing clothes, looking like little gangsters. And these young men looked at everything with defiant eyes, as if no one was worthy of being compared to them. Just by looking at these guys, you can tell that they are the kind of playboys. The shopping guide was stunned when he saw the aggressive look of the young man. He seemed a little confused about what was happening in front of him. He thought to himself, he had never heard of any reservation. Feeling strange, the shopping guide had no choice but to look at the other shopping guides around him. At this moment, they were all looking here. Is this shirt available for pre-order? How come I didn't know about it? The other people looked at the shopping guide and shook their heads slightly. They also knew nothing about this matter. Sir, if you really have a reservation, could you please show us the reservation record? The shopping guide had no choice but to look at the young man politely and ask about his appointment record. Even if it was real, she needed to verify it, otherwise it would be irresponsible to other customers. Ha, what a joke. I have to record it for you to see. I guess you don't want to get involved anymore, do you? But just as the salesperson finished speaking, a young man next to him came over, looked at the salesperson with a sneer, with a playful smile on his face. I'm saying that people doing business nowadays really have no sense of propriety. Why don't you ask carefully who the person standing in front of you is? I just happen to be in a good mood today, so I won't hesitate to tell you that this person is Feng Meng, the eldest son of Dasha Island Wanyin Tourism. Suddenly, when they heard the young man talking about the other party's identity, several shopping guides in the store were shocked. This man must be someone with a prominent background. The scene fell into silence for a moment. Everyone was looking at the young man who was speaking, and also looking at Feng Meng who had walked in earlier. Seeing that people were looking at him, the young man did not stop talking. Instead, he smiled and changed the subject and continued. But it's not surprising that you, a little shopping guide, don't know anything. After all, it's usually your store manager who receives us. I'm giving you two choices now. Either you call your store manager over and we can have a good talk, or you can keep it simple and just pack up the clothes. The other young men and girls also looked at the shop assistants with disdain, just watching them in a nonchalant manner and speaking harshly. Chapter 272 Dasha Island Owner. Well, now that I've given you a way out, wrap it up quickly if you're smart enough. Don't worry, we may be short of anything, but we are not short of money. We will give you any amount of money. Your store here is related to our master Feng, so don't think too much about it, just hurry up. The other party was looking at the shopping guide at this time, speaking in an aggressive tone, not taking Wang Xinyo, who had arrived earlier, seriously at all. The shopping guide swallowed his saliva, and when he saw the scene, he was hesitant in his heart. After all, Wang Xinyo came first, and judging from the way she looked, she probably didn't have a reservation. In their store, if something is pre-ordered, it will not be put on display. Moreover, this is the last item left, and putting it on display would only cause more trouble. However, when the shopping guide thought of the other party's identity and his hard-earned job, he felt a little troubled. Choosing either side would be disadvantageous to him at this moment. Wang Xinyo narrowed her eyes. She finally understood the nature of this group of people. Suddenly, she felt a surge of anger in her heart. She had seen this dress first, thinking that Yi Xian would look very handsome in it, but now this group of people came and wanted to jump the queue to buy it? Is there any law in this? Ladies and gentlemen, this has always been a principle of first come first served. Isn't it inappropriate for you to do this? Although these people looked aggressive, with Yi Xian beside them, Wang Xinyo was not afraid at all and reminded them bluntly. Yes, brother, you can't cut in line. That's right, it was obviously mom who saw her first, brother is just cutting in line. Brother, go take a look at the other clothes. The clothes over there are also very nice. The little guys were not convinced when they saw this. They pout and look at them unhappily. What a joke. What are you? Looking at the little guys, the young girls were about to swear, but they suddenly felt a chill on their backs, as if they were being stared at by a wild beast, and they swallowed the words they were about to utter. Then, these young girls saw Longshi's eyes, which were staring at them viciously, emitting endless coldness and ferocity, as if a raw and blood-drinking beast was biting their throats. These people had never seen a top killer like Longshire before, and they were immediately scared out of their wits. After being stunned for a long while, they were still not convinced, but their tone became much softer and they spoke hesitantly. This was clearly reserved by us first. Yes, it's obviously you who came later. We have been here before. If you don't believe me, just ask the store manager out and you'll find out. Hearing that these people were still unwilling to give up, Wang Xinya shook her head helplessly. She was not stupid and could naturally tell that they had no reservation. She glanced away from them and said to the shopping guide beside her, "Pack it up and let's go pay." When the leading young man Fong Meng saw Wang Xinyao's stubborn look, he immediately became furious. He had never seen anyone on Dashia Island who dared to go against him like this, so how could he endure this? "Who are you? How dare you snatch clothes from me?" Wang Xinyao looked at Fong Meng with cold eyes, patted the shopping guide, and considerately pulled her behind her. "Rob? You're talking about yourself." After retorting, Wang Xinyao wanted to take the clothes and go to check out with the shopping guide, no longer paying attention to these unreasonable guys. But when those young girls saw the scene, they became a little anxious. When had they ever encountered such a thing? "Ma'am, we were the ones who reserved this dress first. You are being too aggressive and unreasonable." "That's right. We have told you this over and over again. Don't you understand? I think you are being a little rude, aren't you? Anyway, this dress belongs to our master Fong, so you can do whatever you want with it." The others opened their mouths and started to criticize Wang Xinyao, insisting that they had reserved the dress. But now, no matter what these people say, it's just some threatening words. After all, looking at Longshire's eyes, they dare not be too arrogant. Trouble. Yi Xian watched from the side and shook his head helplessly. He waved to Longshire beside him, ready to let Longshire deal with them directly. After all, these guys are just relying on their family's status to dare to buzz around like flies, which is quite annoying to hear. When Longshire saw Yi Xian's actions, he nodded heavily and immediately walked forward, ready to throw these guys out one by one. But at this moment, a noisy sound suddenly came from outside. "Boss, you are here too, what a coincidence." "Oh, we haven't seen each other for a while, do you remember me, boss?" "Boss, you look pretty good lately. I guess everything is going well." Several Lao Zhangs were politely flattering a middle-aged man, with fawning smiles on their faces. But Fong Meng, who was still pulling the clothes, suddenly turned around. The voice he heard outside just now sounded a little familiar. Everyone turned their heads upon seeing this, and Fong Meng looked closely and saw that it was none other than his father Fong Nan, and there were several other CEOs beside him. But at this moment, they were all talking to the same middle-aged man, with extremely polite expressions and tones. Fong Meng was confused, but the moment he noticed this middle-aged man, he was completely stunned. This is no other than the director of Dashia Island. He has the power to make decisions on all matters on the entire island. He is an extremely powerful figure here and no one dares to neglect him. "Father." Just as the supervisor and several bosses walked in, Fong Meng and his father Fong Nan looked at each other and quickly called out, "Xiao Meng? Why are you here?" Fong Nan was talking to his supervisor when he suddenly saw his son and was a little surprised. "Hello, Uncle Fong." When the other young girls saw Fong Nan coming, they quickly followed suit and politely called him uncle. "Boss, this is my son Fong Meng." The young men around him are also the children of some businessmen on our island. We have a pretty good relationship with them. After a quick glance, Wang Haoming, the director of Dashia Island, just agreed perfunctorily and then ignored them, as if he didn't see Fong Meng and others. Chapter 273 wrapped up. But Fong Meng and the others didn't dare to say anything, even though others were ignoring them. But there is nothing we can do about it, after all, that is his status. He is the director of Dashia Island. If they do business here, they have to rely on him, otherwise they will be nothing. "Ah, boss, what a coincidence today. How about we have a meal together later? It's my treat today." Fong Nan was considered an old fox. Seeing that his supervisor didn't say anything, he immediately offered to treat everyone to a meal. However, Wang Haoming did not respond to Fong Nan, but looked inside. But it doesn't matter if you don't look at it. Just one glance and even Wang Haoming was stunned on the spot. Even his expression and demeanor froze. With a shake of his body, Wang Haoming hurriedly walked inside and came in front of Yi Xian. But at this moment, Wang Haoming lowered his posture very much. He came to Yi Xian respectfully with a humble look, and his body was even slightly bent. Everyone was a little confused at this time. They had never seen the supervisor like this before, and they immediately prepared to ask what was going on. "Mr. Yi, it's really you. You came to Daxia Island. Why didn't you tell me?" Before Fong Nan and other bosses could ask who this was, Wang Haoming took the initiative to greet Yi Xian and excitedly asked about Yi Xian's well-being. "Boss Yi, this is all my fault. I really didn't entertain you well enough. If you come over next time, you must let me know in advance." Boom! At this moment, Fong Nan and the others felt as if their throats were stuck, their heads were buzzing from the sudden thunder, and their bodies were slightly numb. Seeing Yi Xian's slightly youthful appearance, everyone seemed a little surprised. The person who could be so respected by the leaders of Daxia Island was actually a young man. Moreover, Wang Haoming used the respectful title "you" just now, which shows that Yi Xian's identity is extraordinary. But for such a person, they stared at each other, but no one knew who he was. However, when they saw this scene, Fong Meng and the others suddenly felt their pupils shrink and they couldn't help but tremble all over. If I'm not mistaken, Wang Xinyo was just choosing clothes for Yi Xian, and a few little ones were surrounding Yi Xian. It's obvious at a glance that they are a family. But now thinking back, what they had done just now was very inappropriate. They originally thought that this was just an ordinary customer who came here for a stroll with some spare money. Just think about it this way, the reason they dared to be so arrogant just now was only because they relied on their father's certain connections and status here. What shocked them was that this person was even the head of Daxia Island, whom their father respected and had to be polite to. His identity must be extremely terrifying. When they thought about how they had just provoked such a person, Fong Meng and several young girls turned pale instantly. The arrogant and domineering demeanor they had just had disappeared in an instant. They wished they could leave here right now and stay away from him. "Manager Wang, who is this?" The more Fong Nan looked at it, the more shocked he became. He couldn't help but ask Wang Haoming a question. "It's normal that you don't know this person. This person is Mr. Yi Xuanya, the owner of our Daxia Island." "What? Owner?" After hearing these three words, Fong Nan and the others were so shocked that they couldn't close their jaws. They didn't know how to describe their feelings. This young man is actually the owner of this island, and this is not an ordinary island, it is Daxia Island, which is known as a tourist honeymoon destination. The economic value and permanent population it can create can be said to be even greater than those of some small countries. This is the owner of Daxia Island. In an instant, Fong Meng and others who heard this almost collapsed to the ground, with fear from the bottom of their hearts and their eyes. They couldn't imagine that this person's identity was so important even if they racked their brains. It was really scary. But what happened was that they shamelessly provoked others and acted like hooligans in front of someone of such status. This has gone beyond the limit of causing trouble and can be said to be digging one's own grave. Wang Xinyao couldn't help but be a little surprised at this time. She always thought that Yi Xian came here because he thought the scenery here was beautiful, but she didn't expect that this was actually Yi Xian's own island. "It turns out that I have been here for such a long time, but I am not traveling at all. I am just strolling in my own backyard." However, Long Shi, who followed, did not take it seriously. After all, he was used to seeing these things. But Fong Meng was different. When he thought of all this, he felt dizzy. If it weren't for the young girls behind him who caught him, he would have fallen down on the shelf. Even so, this guy's body went limp and he sat directly on the ground. No matter how hard we tried to help him up, he couldn't get up. He just sat on the ground with his head lowered, not daring to look up. What's going on? What just happened? Fong Nan was still in shock, but when he saw that something seemed wrong, he couldn't help but have a bad feeling in his heart, so he looked at the young girls. "Uncle Fong, we were wrong. We were unreasonable just now. We said that we had reserved this dress, but in fact we had not." One of the young men lowered his head, feeling extremely regretful. He knew that he could no longer conceal the matter, so he could only stammer and speak it out. "What? Aren't you guys kidding me?" Fong Nan almost vomited blood after hearing this. He glared fiercely at Fong Meng, who was lying on the ground, then quickly bowed to Yi Xian to apologize. "Mr. Yi, I am sorry for not teaching my son well. The child is immature. Please don't delve into it. I will teach him a lesson. I'll treat you to your meal today. Consider it my apology to you. I'll teach this rebellious son a lesson right now." After saying this, Fong Nan's eyes darkened and he looked at Fong Meng standing beside him. Father. Seeing his father's angry look, Fong Meng raised his head timidly and called Dad in a low voice. How dare you call me Dad? How could I have a rebellious son like you? Fong Nan's face turned purple with anger at this time. He showed no mercy and kicked Fong Meng in the stomach. Ah! Fong Meng was caught off guard. He immediately covered his stomach and hunched over. Like a live shrimp in a frying pan, he quickly curled up into a ball, tears and snot flowing out all at once. I always tell you not to cause trouble. You just don't listen. You know what's going on today, right? I'm going to punish you. Fong Nan was still cursing, but he didn't stop. He grabbed Fong Meng's collar and slapped him, instantly beating the guy into a pig's head. Chapter 274 Welcoming. Pack up my clothes. Yi Xian looked at all this indifferently, turned around and asked the shopping guide to pack up the clothes. Okay, please wait a moment, sir. After the shopping guide reacted, he did not dare to delay at all and quickly took the clothes to the counter. The other young girls were also stunned and panicked. Listening to Fong Meng's heart-wrenching screams as he was beaten, their eyelids twitched violently. Afterwards, they didn't dare to stay any longer and quickly prepared to leave and go back home. After all, they were not stupid and knew that they had caused a big disaster this time. Mr. Yi, I'm sorry to have ruined your mood. Wang Haoming walked out of the Armani store with Yi Xian and his family and expressed his apologies for what had just happened. It's okay, let's just leave it at that. Yi Xian waved his hand. Seeing Fong Meng being beaten like that by his father, he was too lazy to care about anything. Mr. Yi, I'm glad you didn't think too much about it. How about this? You finally came here, so how about I treat you to a meal today? It can be considered as a welcome for you. Good. Yi Xian smiled and nodded. Great, then Director Yi, please follow me, we'll go now. Wang Haoming was overjoyed and immediately led Yi Xian's family towards the hotel. On the way, Wang Haoming did not delay. He took out his mobile phone and called the owner of Daxia Island International Hotel personally. Manager Wang, are you planning to book a room? When the boss saw that the caller was Wang Haoming, he quickly answered the call and asked respectfully. Well, leave me the most luxurious room you have and we'll be right over. No problem, Director Wang, are you going to invite any distinguished guests? When the boss heard that Wang Haoming was talking about us on the phone, his eyes lit up and he also curiously asked about who the other party was inviting to the banquet. At this moment, there were many CEOs standing next to the owner of the Daxia Island International Hotel. When they heard the three words Manager Wang, they couldn't help but be alert. But they just listened and no one said anything. This time I'm inviting Mr. Yi, the owner of our Daxia Island, to dinner. Hurry up and get ready. Wang Haoming said with a smile, then hung up the phone. This. When the boss heard the busy tone on the phone in his hand, his mind went blank and he was completely stunned. With a sound of click, the mobile phone in the boss's hand fell directly to the ground, but he was still holding the phone. The boss just opened and closed his mouth slightly, not knowing what to say, and just stood there in a daze. When the other CEOs saw the boss's look, they were also stunned. What on earth did he hear that could make him so shocked? Boss, what did you hear? Who is Manager Wang going to invite? A group of CEOs looked at the boss curiously and couldn't help but ask a question. The owner of Daxia Island, Yi. Mr. Yi. The boss took a deep breath, picked up the phone that had fallen on the ground, forced himself to calm down, and then told everyone what he had just heard. What? When the other CEOs heard this, their expressions froze, the corners of their mouths twitched slightly, and their expressions were not much better than this boss's. Oh my god. I haven't even met the owner of our Daxia Island yet. No wonder, this person has such a great background. TSK. Even Manager Wang has to personally entertain this person. It's incredible. Everyone stared at each other in amazement, their hearts were filled with turmoil, and it was difficult to calm down. Should we go and greet them? One of the bosses took a deep breath and couldn't help but ask one more question. I think it's necessary, let's go there quickly. Everyone looked at each other, and they could tell from each other's eyes that there was nothing more important than going out to greet them. Thinking of this, these bosses stopped going to the social events. They waved their sleeves and followed the boss out, standing at the door waiting to be greeted. After a while, Wang Haoming brought Yi Xian and his family to the entrance of Daxia Island International Hotel. The bosses saw Wang Haoming walking towards them from afar, and then looked to Wang Haoming's side. They saw Yi Xian walking next to Wang Haoming, and slightly ahead. No way. Is this true or not? When the hotel owners and CEOs saw the scene, they were all stunned because Yi Xian was really too young. This is really too young. Alas, at such a young age, he already owns the entire Dasha Island. What kind of strength does he have? Stop talking, let's go up and greet them. Several CEOs and the hotel owner were discussing the matter, but they all came up quickly to meet them. Mr. Yi, we have been waiting for you for a long time. We have heard of your great name before, and now that we have met you today, we can see that you are truly a rare talent. Compared to you, we are nothing. Please come in, Mr. Yi. I have prepared a room for you and am waiting for you now. Yi Xian glanced at Wang Haoming beside him, then looked at the people in front of him, understood what they meant, and said with a smile. Then let's all eat together. Great, Mr. Yi, please come in first. Everyone was delighted to see that Yi Xian was so easy to talk to. Then a group of people surrounded Yi Xian and walked upstairs to the hotel. After entering the room, everyone invited Yi Xian to the seat of honor. Wang Xinyao and a few little ones sat around him first, followed by Wang Haoming and other bosses. During the meal, everyone was toasting to Yi Xian with a respectful and humble attitude. After all, they were nothing in front of Yi Xian, the owner of Dasha Island. Oh, Mr. Yi, I suddenly remembered that tomorrow is the annual fishing competition on Dasha Island. There will be a lot of people participating, and the scene will be very lively. And the winner of this competition will receive blessings from Dasha Island, and will have many good omens in the future. I wonder if you have a fishing boat, Mr. Yi. Since we are all here, we can join in together. One of the bosses picked up his glass and suddenly remembered tomorrow's fishing competition, so he thought of inviting Yi Xian to participate together to improve their relationship. But when he said this, the other boss was suddenly stunned, and then he remembered that someone had shown him the photos taken at the port before. Moreover, that person also told him about the fleet. This incident caused a sensation in the entire port at that time, and many people on Dasha Island knew about it. It became a hot topic among everyone recently. Chapter 275 Drink It All. But now thinking about this, the boss narrowed his eyes and continued to look at Yi Xian. Suddenly he realized that the person in the photo seemed to be only Mr. Yi's profile. Thinking of this, the boss couldn't help but swallow his saliva, then he looked at Yi Xian and continued to ask. Mr. Yi, the fleet that appeared at the port a few days ago was yours, right? Fleet? What fleet? Hearing this, many of the surrounding CEOs looked at him in confusion, some of them not understanding what this meant. Don't you know? I don't know. The boss who talked about the fleet looked at everyone in confusion, thinking that they all knew about the fleet, but looking at his expression, many people still didn't understand what was going on. Well, here's what happened. A few days ago, many people at the port saw a fleet coming over. They even went to Little Elephant Island and returned safely. Although I wasn't there, I saw the photos later and saw that the owner of the fleet looked very similar to Mr. Yi. After hearing the boss' explanation, everyone finally understood and couldn't help but exclaim in their hearts. Mr. Yi, is this true? Is this really your fleet? Everyone swallowed, forced themselves to suppress their surprise, and all looked at Yi Xian. Yi Xian didn't avoid anything and nodded slightly. Everyone gasped when they saw this. It was a bit exaggerated that one person could own a large island and a fleet. What can be called a fleet includes, in addition to standard ships such as workships and fishing ships, mobile firepower at sea such as combat ships. Now people finally understood that Yi Xian had actually visited the Little Elephant Island, which was previously known as a forbidden area. In the face of such firepower, how could those pirates dare to act rashly? We took a flotilla ship to Little Elephant Island that day. The uncle on the ship was very welcoming to us and gave us many gifts when we left. Hey, it's so fun there. Uncle, you guys can go there if you have time. The scenery is really great. I want to go there again, it's really fun. For a while, the scene was completely silent. A few little ones heard about the fleet in Little Elephant Island, and they innocently talked about their trip to Little Elephant Island that day. But when the bosses heard this, their mouths twitched suddenly. My goodness, could those uncles be pirates? Sure enough, the root of all fear comes from insufficient firepower. If the firepower is too strong, it will become a fear for others. The boss who had initially suggested that Yi Xian participate in the competition was now even more dumbfounded. This was too awesome. They already have a fleet, and you actually want to compete with them? This is simply ridiculous. Are you worthy of the competition? Even if all the CEOs on the scene were added together, they couldn't beat the other fleet. Alas, we are doomed to fail this time. Then I would like to congratulate you in advance, Mr. Yi, for winning the championship. It seems that this time, there is no suspense. While the bosses were surprised, they also smiled slightly and celebrated Yi Xian's victory in tomorrow's game in advance. After all, in front of this fleet, what could they do? I'll just go and take a look when the time comes. I won't participate this time. Yi Xian smiled and waved his hand gently. He was not going to participate in this fishing competition. That's a shame, but then we have a chance. If you were here, Mr. Yi, we would have to fight for second place. Mr. Yi, just for what you said, we have to toast you again. When they heard that Yi Xian chose not to participate, several bosses expressed regret but also made fun of it. Afterwards, Wang Haoming and several other CEOs all stood up and raised their glasses to Yi Xian. Cheers! Yi Xian sat in his seat, picked up the wine glass and took a few sips, while the bosses drank the wine in the glass directly. After dinner, everyone went back to their own places. After Yi Xian arrived at the hotel, due to time constraints, he let the little ones go to bed quickly. After all, there are still things to do the next day, so it is better to rest early. However, this fishing competition was also very attractive to the little ones. They were so excited at first that they couldn't sleep. They insisted that Yi Xian tell them a story before they slowly fell asleep. The next morning, the little guys got up early. As soon as they opened their eyes, they turned over excitedly and called Yi Xian. Dad, hurry up and get up, we have to go watch the fishing competition later. Yi Xi lay on Yi Xian's chest and whispered in Yi Xian's ear with a smile. Okay, Daddy's awake. Yi Xian opened his eyes helplessly, looking at the mischievous looks of these little guys, and couldn't help but sigh in his heart. Whenever there is something fun to do the next day, these girls will definitely be the most active and don't give themselves any room to rest at all. Hey, Daddy is the best. The children giggled, turned over, got out of bed, put on their clothes, and went out to wash up. After yawning, Yi Xian could only get up and go to the kitchen to make breakfast for the children. After eating, Yi Xian and Wang Xinyao set off with the little ones. Long Shi, Bai Ling, and others followed closely behind. Since there was nothing else to do recently, they decided to go along for the fun. The location of the competition is at the port, which is not too far from here. As soon as everyone walked out of the hotel, they heard the noise outside. It was still early at this time, less than 8 o'clock, but this could not stop everyone from being enthusiastic about the competition. After all, it is an annual competition on Daxia Island. In addition to local residents, many foreign tourists also came. The originally empty port was now filled with fishing boats. It's like an outdoor swimming pool in the hot summer, with the crowds of people inside like dumplings. And the situation next to the port is even more exaggerated at this time, it can be described as a sea of people. It's really lively. I wonder who will win this competition. It all depends on your ability. The more advanced the fishing boat, the better. I don't care about that. Anyway, we will have seafood to eat later. We can feast on it today. Next to Yi Xian and his companions, there were also a few young men walking towards the port, talking about this fishing competition. I don't know what you are so happy about. Aren't you tired of eating this seafood? A young man who had just arrived on the island sighed and looked at his friends around him helplessly. Chapter 276 Full of Luck. Although everyone can get a share of the seafood caught in the end, think about it from another perspective. People living on this island also eat seafood frequently, and sometimes they feel a little tired of it. You don't understand this. The seafood that can be caught in the shallow sea is different from what the fishing boats catch in the deep sea. The other young man laughed and talked about his previous experience with great enjoyment. This is your first time here, so of course you don't know. Last year, we went out to sea and gained a lot. I remember that last time, several of the fishing boats got some good stuff. Not only were there rare things like yellow croaker and bluefin tuna, but they even got expensive ambergris, which is really good stuff. Anyway, when we got to the back, we could see king crabs and giant squids. I was lucky enough to get a relatively small king crab with a few friends. The crab roe was amazing. As the young man spoke of this, he could not help smacking his lips, as if he was still recalling the deliciousness of the king crab. If the occasion had allowed it, he would probably have drooled. The people around were all shocked when they heard this. These things are quite valuable, and some of them are hard to come by. Even if they can't eat them, it's still good to see the world. Hearing you put it that way, I really want to know why everyone is so enthusiastic about this fishing competition. The young man nodded in sudden enlightenment. The things mentioned above were rarely encountered even if they lived by the sea. Things like this are not just a price factor, but channels are also a problem. By the way, you can't give us these things for free. How did you get them last time? But seeing the young man's intoxicated look, the others couldn't help but feel a little puzzled. These things were quite expensive, so they shouldn't be that easy to get, right? That's right. If you just come to watch the fishing competition, you might only be able to get some more common seafood. I got it last time by working as a helper on one of the fishing boats. Although I won't get paid, the possibility of getting good things is much greater. The young man nodded. These things certainly didn't come for free. At least they required some effort. Then why don't we just give it a try this time? It's boring to wait on the shore anyway, so why not go out to sea and see the world? I think it's feasible. If you go, I will go too. No problem, it's settled then. Talking about this, everyone's eyes lit up, and they quickly decided to go out to sea to watch the fishing competition together. They might get some good things then. Dad, those brothers just said we can go out to sea together, and we might get some good stuff. As Yi Xiao walked, he pricked up his ears and listened to the conversation between the young men. His eyes lit up and he pulled Yi Xian's sleeve. Well, do you all want to tag along and take a look? Yi Xian smiled and looked at the little guys. Dad, are you saying we can go? Yeah, we really want to go out and have a look. I've never seen anyone go fishing at sea. Dad, you will take us there, right? Several little guys suddenly became excited and nodded their heads frantically at Yi Xian. Put. I see you little greedy cats are trying to see if you can catch something delicious? Wang Xinyao, who was standing by, looked at the little ones shouting excitedly and burst out laughing, revealing their true inner thoughts. Mom, besides being delicious, this is also quite fun. Yi Shi pouted her lips and spoke in a baby voice, her mind already beginning to imagine the scene of fishing on the sea. Okay, Daddy promises you that he will take you out to sea, but you must be obedient when the time comes. Yi Xian smiled dotingly and immediately agreed to let the little guys go. After all, this could broaden their horizons, and it would be nice to take the little guys out to see the world. Great! We can go out to sea. The children jumped up excitedly and hurriedly pulled Yi Xian and Wang Xinyao forward. Not long after walking, they arrived in front of the port. The port, which was usually crowded with people, was now even more crowded, and their ears were filled with bursts of noise. Mr. Yi, you are here. Wang Haoming, who was chatting with a few bosses about the competition, suddenly saw Yi Xian's family coming over, and he hurriedly walked over enthusiastically. Good morning, Mr. Yi. It's great that your whole family is here. I wonder if this is Mr. Yi's first time watching a fishing competition. It will be exciting. If Mr. Yi is interested, why don't you come with us? Several bosses also came up with a smile and began to invite Yi Xian to go out to sea with them to watch the competition. It's fine as long as you don't mind the trouble. My girls are also clamoring to go and have a look. Yi Xian smiled slightly, and made up his mind to take the little guys out to have a look. No, as long as Mr. Yi is willing, it will be our honor. Wang Haoming waved his hand, looked at Yi Xian excitedly, and continued speaking. Why don't you just follow my boat, Mr. Yi? My fishing boat is big enough and will surely satisfy you. What do you think? Okay, no problem. Yi Xian nodded and agreed to Wang Haoming, and the little guys clapped their hands happily. Not long after, all the fishing boats were ready to go. Wang Haoming, the supervisor of Daxia Island, also took the lead in participating in this competition. At this moment, he was standing on a high platform in the port, giving a passionate speech for this competition. Good morning, fellow residents and tourists. Today is our annual fishing competition. I believe everyone is looking forward to this fishing competition, so they all came here early in the morning, and the teams have also made sufficient preparations for the competition. Let's not waste any more time now. I declare that this year's fishing competition officially begins. Everyone can start going out to sea now. When you return to the port at 4:30 p.m., we will judge the results of this competition. As our first place winner, you will receive the blessing of Daxia Island, and every day of the coming year will be full of good luck. Chapter 277 Rare. Okay, everyone can get started now. I hope everyone will try their best to create stunning results in this harvest season. As soon as Wang Haoming finished speaking, warm applause broke out from the audience, and everyone was cheering for the teams this time. Many men also took part in this competition and helped on the fishing boats. The women were waving colorful scarves, symbolizing everyone's safe return and fruitful harvest. Alright girls, it's time for us to go. Yi Xian watched the various fishing boats start to get busy, and smiled at the little guys. Great! Let's go! The little guys jumped and danced excitedly, and then, led by Yi Xian and Wang Xinyao, they walked towards Wang Haoming, who had just finished speaking. He had just finished speaking, and the first thing he did was to come to Yi Xian and others, and enthusiastically led everyone to his fishing boat. It has to be said that Wang Haoming's fishing boat is quite special among all the teams in the competition. Whether in terms of tonnage, carrying capacity, or fishing facilities, it can be regarded as the best among all the teams this time. Well, your fishing boat is pretty good. After Yi Xian brought the children up, he took a quick look at the fishing boat and said to Wang Minghe with a smile. No way. Compared with your fleet, Mr. Yi, my fleet is nothing. Wang Haoming couldn't help wiping his sweat. His fishing boat was quite good and was very competitive in this competition. But all this is based on the assumption that Yi Xian's fleet does not participate in the competition. If the fleet really comes, there is no need to think about who will get the first place. Wow! There are so many people. The little ones were running around on the deck. Because the railings on the deck were relatively high, and for safety reasons, the little ones also put on small and cute life jackets. Besides, Yi Xian, Wang Xinyao, Longshu and others are watching on the side, so there is no problem with safety. They can just let the little guys look around. However, when the fishing work starts later, they are not allowed to run around. At this time, the huge fleet of fishing boats had left the port one after another. Wang Minghe's fishing boat was very fast and was far ahead. A few little guys were lying on the railing, which was much higher than themselves, looking at the scenery in the sea, then at the fleet of fishing boats following behind them, laughing and having a great time. Wang Haoming invited Yi Xian and others to a sunshade in the middle and personally brewed tea for them. Because fishing can only start when it reaches a little deeper in the sea, except for the professional crew members who are debugging the mechanical rods and chilled water circulation pumps, everyone else is relatively leisurely. This time, it looks like your ship has a good chance of winning. Yi Xian took a few sips of tea and glanced at the other fishing boats behind him. Except for a few that looked about the same as Wang Haoming's, the rest were much inferior. Mr. Yi, you flatter me. I also participated last year, but I only came in third place. Wang Haoming smiled bitterly. Although his fishing boat had good equipment, some of them were professional sea fishing teams. He could not compare with them. Yi Xian nodded. He understood all of this very well. This was not just a matter of equipment and professionalism. Sometimes luck was also part of strength. In this way, Wang Xinyao took a few children to play on the deck, Yi Xian and Wang Haoming drank tea and chatted, and soon they arrived at the fishing position set in advance. It's time to start the homework, everyone get moving. Following a howl from a veteran in the fishing team on the boat, everyone began fishing in an orderly manner. This time, the fishing operation method still adopted the traditional trawling method of fishermen, but in comparison, the equipment on Wang Haoming's boat was much more advanced. Dad! It started! It started! A few little guys were nervously grabbing Yi Xian's sleeves. Although they did not participate, they were also very nervous just watching the fishing work. As a large net was spread out in the sea, a solid iron chain controlled the large net in the sea all the way to the central sea area. After dragging it for a while, everyone could feel the fishing boat's progress gradually becoming slow and laborious, and their faces were filled with joy. Could it be that this was just the first time we cast our net and we had a big catch? Thinking of this, everyone had already imagined the scene after the big net was dragged up, and they became more nervous and worked harder. You can pull it now. When the bearing capacity of the equipment had reached the critical value, everyone didn't even dare to blink and began to retract the big net. Because of the mechanical rod, fishing is now much more convenient and labor-saving than before. The operator is carefully debugging the equipment, and others are waiting patiently. It's out. It's a big harvest for the first time. Finally, as a large net was dragged out of the water, the net full of seafood appeared in front of everyone. I'm lucky today. Wang Haoming was also very excited watching from the side. In the past, it was rare for the net to be full on the first cast. Wow! So many big fish and shrimps. Several little ones couldn't help but open their mouths wide. This scene gave them quite a shock. Be careful, we're going to loosen the net. Soon, with the operation of the mechanical rod, the full net of catch was pulled up. After making sure that everyone around had stood aside, all the fish and shrimp were placed on the deck. As soon as the mechanical rod was released, the deck full of fish and shrimps was spread out on the deck. People wearing professional protective gear started to get busy. In addition to throwing some seafood that was too small or prohibited from being caught into the sea, they also had to classify and organize the seafood. Dad, why did those uncles throw away the seafood they pulled up with great difficulty? When a few little guys saw this scene, they immediately looked at Yi Xian with curiosity, wondering what this meant. In their minds, since the goal is to win the game, the more of these things the better, so why throw them back? Of course there is a reason for this. Yi Xian looked at the puzzled expressions of the little guys and explained with a smile. The seafood in front of us is a gift from the sea, but there is a limit to our fishing in the sea. Some fish and shrimp are too small, and even if you bring them back, they don't have much meat. It's better to put them back into the sea and let them continue to grow. Chapter 278 No difference. Of course, there are some rare species that are prohibited from being caught and eaten. We have to let them go too, so that they can continue to reproduce in this world. After hearing Yi Xian's explanation, the little guys nodded in sudden enlightenment and understood the reason. In this fishing haul, in addition to the more common fish, shrimp and other seafood, we also unexpectedly caught some relatively rare things. In addition to several large groupers, red snappers, etc., we even caught a large bluefin tuna. It can be said that this first wave of harvest simply exceeded everyone's imagination. Wang Haoming was even more overjoyed. This wave of harvest was something he had not expected. A few little guys watched the staff sorting the harvested seafood, and walked forward to watch with great interest, blinking their eyes full of light, watching without getting tired. As time slowly passed, it slowly reached the afternoon. Yi Xian and others also returned to the shore with a whole boat full of catches. Although the subsequent catches were not as big as the first time, their luck was generally quite good. When the fishing boats arrived at the port from the deep sea, there were already quite a few fishing boats gathered sparsely at the port. Boss Yi, this is really the luck you brought me. The harvest this time is much bigger than last year. Wang Haoming looked at the various kinds of seafood on the bed with emotion, and looked at Yi Xian excitedly. Luck is something that can't be the same every time. Yi Xian looked at Wang Haoming's excitement and smiled faintly. That's true, but thank you Mr. Yi for accompanying me on this trip. You can choose whatever seafood you want on the boat. If there's not enough, I can have someone deliver it to you personally. It's okay, I don't need much, just find me something to pack it in. Faced with Wang Haoming's enthusiasm, Yi Xian did not refuse. Okay, Mr. Yi, go ahead and pick it out first, and I'll have someone pack it for you when the time comes. Yi Xian nodded and looked at the girls with a smile. Let's go girls, let's go pick some seafood. Hey! There's something delicious. Let's go. The little guys smiled excitedly and followed Yi Xian to the deck to start choosing. Wow! There are so many things. I don't know what to eat. Looking at the dazzling array of seafood, it was the first time for the little ones to see such a scene. For a moment, they felt a little unprepared and didn't know what to choose. Dad, that big fish hanging up there should be delicious, right? After looking for a while, Yi Jing shifted his gaze to the hung bluefin tuna. Well, Jingjing has good taste. This is the rarest big one here. Yi Xian pursed his lips and smiled, looking at this big guy that was nearly 2 meters long. This was indeed the biggest gain in the entire ship. Bluefin tuna, known as the Rolls-Royce of sashimi, is not only expensive but also very rare, and it is rarely caught by fishing boats. Please wait a moment, Mr. Yi. I will ask someone to cut it for you right away. Wang Haoming, who came over, saw Yi Xian and a few little guys looking at the bluefin tuna, so he came over enthusiastically and quickly asked people to start cutting it. That's troublesome. Yi Xian did not refuse. This bluefin tuna was quite good and he also wanted some. It's okay, Mr. Yi, go pick out some other things first, and I'll have someone pack them for you after they're cut. Wang Haoming spoke enthusiastically and quickly organized people to cut the bluefin tuna. Although this thing is an unexpected big gain this time, if Yi Xian wants it, he will not even blink an eye even if all of them are given to Yi Xian. Afterwards, Yi Xian and Wang Xinyao brought a few little ones and picked out a grouper and a grouper, both of which were just the right size. Finally, they took some small things like abalone. After asking for a few more lobsters and rose dragons, Yi Xian didn't ask for any more. These things are best eaten fresh. It would be a waste to throw away the leftovers. Wang Haoming was also not idle. He asked someone to cut several pieces of meat for Yi Xian. They were all the good meat from the cheeks and spine of the bluefin tuna, which was the essence of the fish. Yi Xian was also very satisfied with this. After the fishing boat docked, he took the children and Wang Xinyo away from the port, and walked towards the hotel carrying the seafood they had harvested today. As for the results of this competition, Yi Xian did not ask too much. It still needed to be counted at the port, and he and others did not have the energy to wait for the count slowly. Let's go back. There's something delicious. In the setting sun, the children were skipping and jumping in front of Yi Xian and Wang Xinyo. Now they couldn't wait to go back early so that they could have a comfortable meal. You little greedy cats, slow down, please. I'm not denying you food. Wang Xinyo was walking beside Yi Xian, and when she saw the actions of the little ones, she didn't know whether to laugh or cry. During the last few waves of fishing, they were not as excited as at the beginning, and even felt a little bored. But now they are about to go back to cook the seafood, and they look impatient. Your mother was right, you little greedy cats. Yi Xian also smiled, but a few little guys suddenly turned around and made faces at Yi Xian and Wang Xinyo with smiles on their faces. The children's cute smiling faces seemed even more naughty at this moment. Walking under the sunset, Yi Xian and Wang Xinyo smiled at each other and felt that the scene at this moment was extremely warm. Oh, it would be nice if it stayed like this forever. Wang Xinyo couldn't help but sigh and said these words unconsciously. But the next moment, Wang Xinyo felt Yi Xian gently hugging her waist, and she leaned against Yi Xian's arms, and her cheeks suddenly turned red. Xinyo, I'm by your side, and our future will be like this too. Yi Xian's magnetic and gentle voice rang in Wang Xinyo's ears. This sudden romance made a warm current flow in Wang Xinyo's heart. Mom and Dad, shame on you. You started making out when we weren't paying attention. When the little guys turned around and saw Yi Xian and Wang Xinyo being intimate, they immediately covered their eyes and turned their heads away, but they looked back from time to time. The funny look made Wang Xinyo and Yi Xian burst into laughter. But some are happy while others are sad. Longshi, Bai Ling, and others who were walking at the back were carrying large and small bags of seafood, and the expressions on their faces were no different from those of tools. Chapter 279 Going Home. After arriving at the hotel, the sky had begun to gradually darken. Yi Xian also walked into the kitchen with the seafood and started cooking today's feast with Wang Xinyo. The lobsters were cooked in two ways, salt-baked and charcoal-grilled. The abalones were cooked into seafood porridge, and some were blanched. Coupled with the rich sauce and fresh presentation, it looked very appetizing. As for the bluefin tuna meat, Yi Xian made part of it into sashimi and paired it with seafood sauce. This is the most perfect way to eat it, which can bring out the sweetness of the bluefin tuna. He also steamed some of it to ensure the freshness and taste of the fish. In the end, when Yi Xian put everything on the table, whether it was the little guys, Wang Xinyo, or Longshi Bai Ling, they couldn't help but swallow their saliva. Okay, let's eat. Yi Xian smiled and began to serve seafood porridge to the little ones. The family chatted and laughed while enjoying today's harvest. Everyone had a great appetite. Several little ones sipped the seafood porridge in small sips. This fresh, delicious and memorable seafood porridge immediately whetted their appetites. But looking at these salt-baked and charcoal-grilled lobster and rosemary, the little guys were at a loss as to how to open them. Dad! We want to eat prawns. Yi Shi gently tugged at Yi Xian's sleeve, drooling and pointing at the lobster on the table. The other little guys also looked at Yi Xian eagerly, all wanting to try this delicious-looking lobster, but the hard shell of the lobster became a stumbling block. Okay, Dad will peel the shells for you. Yi Xian smiled dotingly, put on gloves first, then picked up a lobster, and with the help of the tools placed beside him, he helped the little guys slowly get the meat out. A few little ones were a little impatient. While Yi Xian was picking out the meat, they ate it in big mouthfuls, and a fresh and fragrant taste burst out in their mouths. I have to say that these fresh dragonfish from the deep sea are much more delicious than those sold on the island. The little guys can never get tired of eating them. Yi Xian's speed in cutting the meat can hardly keep up with the speed at which the little guys eat the meat. You little guys are always making things difficult for your dad. Wang Xinyo was watching from the side and didn't know whether to laugh or cry. Although she said that, she still helped Yi Xian to pick the meat from the little guys. Hey, Mom and Dad are the best. Yi Shi smiled sweetly and looked at Yi Xian and Wang Xinyo with eyes full of love. The other little ones did the same, eating lobster meat and talking in baby voices. Now Mom and Dad are helping us. When we grow up, we will help Mom and Dad. Well, when I grow up, I will take my parents to travel around and make them the happiest people in the world. Mom and Dad eat too. The little guys had sweet mouths and each grabbed a large piece of lobster meat and stuffed it into Yi Xian and Wang Xinyao's mouths. You girls, your mouths are getting sweeter every day. Yi Xian smiled gently. The words of the little guys just now really made him and Wang Xinyo feel warm. These children are like the greatest blessing given to him by God. They not only fill his boring life with light, but also allow him to see more possibilities in the future. Okay. Mommy can't eat anymore, you guys can just eat it by yourselves. Wang Xinyao's mouth was almost filled with lobster meat by the little ones, so she could only let the children eat it by themselves. Longya and Bai Ling sat at the dinner table, watching the warm scenes of this family, and felt deeply moved. Looking at these, Longya thought of Brother Yi from before, and fell into deep thought again. But at this moment, a smile suddenly appeared on Longya's originally cold face. In this smile, you can hardly tell that this is the smile of a killer king who ranks high on the wanted list. It is just the smile of an ordinary person, a smile that comes from the heart to protect beauty. Soon, everyone finished their meal amid laughter and joy. After the meal, Yi Xian called Longshi and they went into the study together. A few little guys were watching all this quietly outside, but they had some other ideas in their minds. Dad is so tired today. He cooked for us and peeled shrimps for us at night. We should do something to help him. Yi Jing looked at the other little guys, her big watery eyes rolling around, and came up with a good idea. Dad and Uncle Ryuya just went to the study. Why don't we make them a pot of tea? What do you think? Great. Dad will definitely be very happy. Yi Xia raised his hands with a smile, agreeing with Yi Jing's proposal. The other girls had no objections and reached a consensus immediately. At this time, Bai Ling and Wang Xinyo were cleaning up in the kitchen, and only a few little ones were left in the living room. Following Professor Yi Xian's method, the little guys bustled around, making a pot of tea for Yi Xian, washing the teacups, warming them with hot water, and then bringing them to the study. Dad, we're here to make you some tea. A few little guys walked in cautiously, carrying things and smiled at Yi Xian. Well, thank you my dear babies. Yi Xian was also startled, and quickly took the boiling hot teapot from Yi Jing's hand with a smile and placed it on the table. Dad, you've worked hard. Have some tea and take a rest. The children looked at Yi Xian seriously, said this with a smile on their faces, and stood awkwardly in front of Yi Xian and Longshi. Well, you guys are so good. Daddy isn't tired at all because of you. Yi Xian felt warmed by the actions of the little ones. He squatted down and gently rubbed the little ones' faces, and spoke to them softly. Okay, you guys go out and play, Daddy has something to talk to Uncle Ryuya about. Well, bye, Dad. The children smiled and nodded, then skipped out of the study hand in hand. After Yi Xian watched the little ones go out, he gently closed the door, looked at the hot tea the children made for him, and poured a cup for himself and Longshi respectively. Longya, have they all infiltrated? After taking a sip of tea, Yi Xian looked at the dark sky outside the window and asked Longshi about what happened before. Well, don't worry, Brother Yi, everything is already in place. We did encounter some problems along the way, but they were all easy to solve. They have all been handled over there. Now we are just waiting for your order. Chapter 280 Post. Longya nodded heavily. Overall, this matter went relatively smoothly. Okay, then post the black post. Yi Xian nodded when he heard that, drank the tea in the cup, and then spoke to Longshi indifferently. Black sticker? When Longshi heard Yi Xian say this, he couldn't help but exclaimed in his heart. He was stunned for a moment and still found it a little unbelievable. But he knew what this black sticker was and what its meaning was. This was not something that could be said casually. The last time was when Brother Yi and the West stood on opposite sides, and he issued this black sticker to those big Western families, reminding them not to interfere no matter what happened. The black post repeatedly reminded them to just stand by and watch, and not get involved, otherwise they would have to bear the consequences themselves. But even with that being said, several families were still involved last time. Of course, the final result was a bloodbath. I still remember that there was a river of blood in those families at that time. All those who participated in the incident or knew about it were killed, no matter how powerful they were before their death. For a time, the demise of those families shocked the entire West. Those tragic scenes are still lingering in the minds of those people, and are also fresh in Longshi's memory. Okay, Brother Yi. I'll go down and arrange it right away. Although he was shocked, this was Yi Xian's approach after all. Longshi did not ask about it. He also knew that he did not need to ask about it. He agreed immediately and hurried down to make arrangements. After saying this, Yi Xian walked out with a smile. Several little ones were playing in the living room. When they saw Yi Xian coming out, they pulled Yi Xian to play with them. By the way, Dad, we heard that there will be a beach party nearby tomorrow night. Mom has promised to take us there. Dad, do you want to go with us? While playing, the little guys suddenly remembered the previous beach party and asked Yi Xian if he wanted to go with them. You know what, these little guys are getting smarter and smarter. When they saw Yi Xian and Longsher going to the study to discuss something just now, they thought that Yi Xian might have something to do, so they asked this question. Okay, but I might come find you guys later. Yi Xian agreed with a smile, but he might have something to do by then, so he told the children that he might be late. Yeah, then we'll wait for Dad there. The little guys nodded, and all crawled into Yi Xian's arms, snuggling up to him affectionately. Yi Xian smiled bitterly and shook his head. These little guys always act like this whenever they know they are going out. However, while Yi Xian and others were spending a happy and peaceful night, many people in the West began to get nervous. In a large manor with beautiful scenery and luxurious buildings, an old man was sitting in the garden drinking tea, looking leisurely and relaxed. Although this old man is old, his eyes are still bright, his white hair and beard are neatly trimmed, and he is dressed formally, looking like an old gentleman. However, at this moment, the housekeeper outside suddenly walked in a hurry. His face and hands were covered with cold sweat, and his expression looked a little pale, as if he had encountered something terrible. What's wrong? You're so flustered. What a mess. The old man drank his tea and glanced at the butler, still maintaining a calm demeanor. Old man, we just received a black note. What? The old man, who had a relatively relaxed expression at first, suddenly became distorted when he heard about the black post. He lost his grip on the teacup in his hand and it fell directly to the ground. With a bang, the teacup fell to the ground and broke into pieces. However, the old man's attention was not on the teacup. Instead, he was staring at the black sticker in the housekeeper's hand. It's not that he doesn't know what happened after this thing appeared in the West last time. The black post has reappeared. The old man's body was trembling slightly, and his mind couldn't help but recall the news that he had heard before about the destruction of the Tiansha organization. The means and strength are basically the same as those of the families that were massacred after the black post appeared last time. They are simply cut from the same mold. The more he thought about this, the gloomier the old man's expression became. He knew that it wouldn't be long before the situation in the West might change. Take this black post for example, it is already a clear warning, reminding them not to get involved, not to stand on the wrong side, and not to do things that they shouldn't do. Master, what about us? The old man in front of the butler was silent for a long time and was also panicked, not knowing what to do now. You must tell everyone in the family immediately that no matter who they are, they must not cause trouble for me during this period of time, and they must have less interactions and exchanges with other families. Everything will be discussed after this period of time has passed. The old man took a deep breath, forced himself to calm down, and then instructed the butler word by word. Now, no matter who it is, anyone who causes trouble will be expelled from the family. It doesn't matter who it is, and I don't care if they are from the direct or collateral lineage. Don't waste time, convey what I say now, go now. Yes. The butler stood up tremblingly. After hearing what the old man said, he realized the seriousness of the matter. He immediately left the garden at a high speed and went to report the matter. After the butler left for a while, he stood there in a daze for a long time before slumping down and sitting back on the chair he had just sat on. At this moment, the old man, who usually remained calm even when faced with a catastrophe, now had beads of sweat on his forehead. Soon, thanks to the housekeeper's timely notification, everyone in the family also knew about this matter. Many people knew that the old man had received the black note, and their hearts couldn't help but tighten, knowing the seriousness of the matter. Given the current situation, we cannot say that everyone is in danger, but everyone has a general understanding of the matter and knows that no matter what they do during this period, they should act with caution. However, several younger generations of the family did not think so at the moment. Instead, they sneered at the cautious expressions of others and thought that the old man was making a fuss out of nothing. Chapter 281 Deterrence. I think the old man is making a big deal out of nothing. This matter shouldn't be like this. It's already this day and age, and you're still using this trick? Ha, I think this is just to scare people. What kind of black post is this? If I send it to others, will it scare them too? Anyway, I don't care. I'll just pretend it never happened and do what I need to do. Why bother? Several juniors spoke with disdain, with frivolous smiles on their rebellious faces, as if this so-called black sticker was nothing more than a joke to them. Nonsense. What do you youngsters know? If you don't know, don't talk nonsense. When some elders around heard the conversation between these juniors, their faces suddenly looked a little unhappy. You guys don't even take it seriously. Do you know what happened in the past? Those families who ignored this black post and stepped into areas they shouldn't have stepped into were all massacred without exception. Those who don't take the black post seriously and have the same idea as you do now have already reported to God. Do you still think this is just an intimidation or a threat? I'm telling you, this is a warning, an ultimatum. You youngsters better listen to the old man and don't go out and cause trouble. Otherwise, no one, let alone the family, can protect you. A slightly older middle-aged man looked at these juniors seriously, angrily told them some of the things that happened before, and also warned them about their current behavior. This is too horrible. After hearing these words, the younger generations who had been disdainful just now suddenly broke out in cold sweats and dared not even breathe. If only the old man thought this way about this matter, and the rest of the family did not take it seriously, then that would be fine. But now these elders also behaved in this way, which made them think carefully and terrified, and they dared not say anything. Their family has some say in the West. Although it is not as good as those top families, it still has some status. However, the words of the middle-aged man just now were not alarmist at all. The younger generations were shocked to the extreme. They couldn't imagine what kind of existence could wipe out a family like theirs effortlessly with blood. After swallowing their saliva, the younger generation became more and more panicked. They didn't dare to speak anymore and walked towards their own homes in shame. Less than half an hour after the old man issued the order, everyone in and outside the family knew about this matter. Everyone also knew that this matter was no joke, and everyone had their own scale in their hearts, knowing what to do and what not to do. There were some other younger generations who didn't know about these past events, but after hearing their elders talk about this matter, they also learned their lesson and obeyed the old man's orders. In the West, many families also received this black notice, and the whole family made arrangements in a swift and decisive manner. With the lesson learned from the last time, no one dared to act recklessly this time. No matter how daring one is, no one dared to joke with his own life and the fate of the entire family. With the internal adjustments of each family and the handling of external matters, anyone who knows about these things has a feeling that a storm is about to come. Everyone knows that there will definitely be turmoil in the West during this period, a turmoil that no one can control. While everyone in the West was feeling insecure, undercurrents were surging, and a big storm was brewing. On the other side of the world, the Daxia island was still peaceful. It was already the second night. Yi Xian had gone out early for something, while Wang Xinniao took the little ones to the party at the beach. Around a bonfire, in the refreshing sea breeze, carrying the smell of the sea, accompanied by the sound of waves hitting the shore, everything seemed so leisurely. This is a common activity on Daxia Island. On a cool night in the hot summer, it is a good choice to feel the fireworks away from the hustle and bustle of the city accompanied by bonfires and music. But this party is quite special. It is the annual Daxia Island summer celebration after the fishing competition. On this day, residents and tourists on the island will come to the beach to celebrate the end of summer. People were grilling meat and drinking beer by the campfire. There were also many small stalls around selling local coconut drinks and cocktails. Some were setting off fireworks and singing some unique local folk songs. A lot of people gathered around a stage in the center. They were singing and dancing, wearing ethnic-style clothes. To the beat of the music, they were releasing their youngest and most active energy. The tourists were wearing loose beach pants and vests. Some were strolling on the beach, some were enjoying barbecue and beer, and some were drinking alone on the rocks on the cliff, gazing at the bright moon over the sea. Even though it is far away from the land, you can still feel the unique charm of the island here, which is a kind of romance that is unimaginable in the bustling city. Wang Xinyo brought a few children here. A lot of people had gathered around, mostly young people, but there were also many middle-aged people and some elderly people. The children were very excited and ran around holding Wang Xinyao's hands. Everything here was attractive to them and they couldn't resist using their innocent eyes to record this unforgettable night. Mom! Look, there's something fun over here. After wandering around for a while, the children discovered one of the stalls. Their eyes immediately lit up and they clamored to go over and take a look. This is a small stall sold by local residents. It sells small ornaments made of seashells, conch shells, or coconut shells. Although these are common things at the seaside, the craftsmanship is exquisite and they are especially attractive to children. Okay, I'll take you to see it. Wang Xinyan nodded, her hands already full of the things the girls had just bought, including unfinished drinks and some miscellaneous small items. Yeah. Mom is the best. A few little guys cheered, fluttered their little feet, and ran to the front of the stall in a few steps. Wang Xinyao followed over and saw the things on the stall. She became interested and started picking things up with the little ones. At this time, there were many internet celebrities broadcasting live near the party. They were either shuttling between the stalls set up by local residents, or standing next to the stage or the bonfire. They all held stands in their hands and interacted with the audience in the live broadcast room. Chapter 282 Excitement. Most of these are travel bloggers. In addition to locals, there are also many outsiders. They have gained a lot of traffic by relying on the customs and beautiful scenery of Daxia Island. But I don't know what news they heard, but these internet celebrities who were originally broadcasting live in different places suddenly gathered in one place. Their faces were filled with excitement, and their steps became much faster, as if they were afraid of missing it. At this time, many people who were drinking and chatting by the campfire also began to talk about it. Although most of their discussions were just hearsay, they were all very interested. Several Chinese people sitting together also talked about this topic. They heard about it on the road, but they were also very curious about the female internet celebrity and the event. A man with a scruffy beard and black framed glasses rolled his eyes and started talking about this matter to several friends around him. Hey! Have you heard? It seems that a top female internet celebrity is coming to our Daxia Island today, and there seems to be an event. I know about this. A friend of mine is also an internet celebrity, and I heard him talk about it. The other young man smiled and said to the others smugly. Seeing his expression, everyone's eyes lit up, their backs straightened up, and they hurriedly urged him to speak quickly. I'm telling you, if you have something to say, don't keep it to yourself. Tell us now. Don't be impatient, it's not like I won't tell you. The young man took a few sips of beer leisurely and said with a smile. This first-tier female internet celebrity is indeed very famous. You should all know that she is none other than an xin. It's her. Hearing the young man talking about an xin, the people around him suddenly became excited and spoke. This is too famous. An xin was born as a model and has won prizes in some international competitions. She is not just any internet celebrity. Yes, although she later quit the modeling industry, who would have thought that she would become more and more famous after becoming an internet celebrity? Her live broadcast room has millions of fans. Brother Kai, why did an xin come to our island? What activities are they doing? Having said that, several people's fiery eyes instantly turned to the young man who had just spoken. Well, I heard from my internet celebrity friend that this is an offline event that will be held right next to our party. Anyway, the content of the event is very simple. The person who drives the most luxurious and expensive car here today will be eligible to have another date with her. Changing the subject, the young man revealed a faint smile at the corner of his mouth and spoke to several people meaningfully. I heard that an xin is still single, so you should know the significance of this event, right? Witnessing the young man smile, several people smiled bitterly. Forget about whether there were any cars or not. Even if they really drove over, they wouldn't be able to get a number here. These kinds of activities of rich people are still too far away for young people like them who are just leading a petty bourgeoisie life. Ahem. Really, you guys, why are you looking so sad? If we can't participate, can't we just go and take a look? Okay. I want to go too, so let Brother Kai lead the way. Sure. Anyway, I think it's pointless to go alone, so let's go together. It's just to open our eyes. The more they talked, the more excited they became. They made up their minds, drank the beer in their hands in one gulp, whistled, and walked towards a square next to the party. At this moment, quite a few people have gathered in the cool square by the sea. Most of them are here to watch the fun, and some young masters are also ready to grab the opportunity to have a date with an xin for dinner. After all, as a former professional model, an xin's devilish figure and angelic face complement each other, making her one of the ideal spouses in the minds of these young masters. If they could win the heart of an xin, it would be an honorable thing in their circle of young masters. Although she is just a female internet celebrity who started out as a model, her looks and figure are top-notch. On the high platform in the center of the square, although the simply decorated stage is not as grand as the singing and dancing performances next to it, more and more people are gathering. A host in a suit is now standing on the stage, with an excited look on his face, setting the atmosphere for the scene and doing some warm-up work. Although the female internet celebrity in xin has not appeared yet, the host is still using his standard Mandarin to introduce today's activities continuously. Hello everyone, welcome to our event. First of all, I would like to thank everyone for coming. On this passionate summer night, we can feel everyone's enthusiasm like a flame on this Dasha island. Today I heard that it is the passionate summer event on our great Sia island. It is an annual wonderful festival. On behalf of our Miss and XIN, I would like to extend my sincere congratulations to everyone. Our activity today is to meet friends through cars. We are also holding a small talent show. If you can win this competition, you will be able to have a romantic date with our Miss and XIN, have dinner together, and chat about life. In this event, we also collected a small registration fee, and we will donate all the funds we receive to charity. Our event is about to begin. Please wait patiently. Our Miss and XIN will be here soon. I hope we can spend a wonderful night with all the guests today. The host was talking incessantly, and the people below were also discussing a lot at this moment. Most of them just came to watch the fun, and they found this kind of activity very novel. TSK, is this the kind of activity that the upper class attends? They are so rich. Anyway, I think this activity is great, but it's a pity that I don't have the ability, otherwise I would have had the chance to have a close encounter with Miss and XIN. That's right, and XIN's appearance and figure are simply perfect. I'm afraid no one can refuse this, right? Well, let's just watch. People like us don't have the capital, so we can only come here to open our eyes. Others eat meat, but we can't even get soup. We can only enjoy the feast for our eyes. Most of the residents or tourists on the island had only heard about this event and came to see it out of curiosity. When they heard that they had the opportunity to date an XIN, they were very excited. Chapter 283 begins. But when I learned that this demand had won the election, the fire in my heart was immediately extinguished. How many people can afford to play such a game? And those young men who were wealthy and drove luxury cars were also standing aside. Romo Qingfang's expressions could tell their mood at the moment. Each of them was full of confidence in himself. They all knew about this matter in advance, and sent their cars for maintenance early, ready to present them to everyone in a brand new look. Ha, I really didn't expect that all of you guys are here. A young man dressed brightly and beautifully in all branded clothes looked at the other young masters around him, smiled at them and spoke calmly. Why? Are you all interested in an XIN? I'm not really interested, I just happened to know this lady in this event, so I came to take a look. Ha, it doesn't matter whether I can date her or not. I'm bored anyway, so if there's something fun here, of course I have to come join in the fun. The other young masters also looked calm, but they all wanted to win the game so that they could get a chance to date an XIN. As the crowd around grew larger and larger, the host saw that the time was almost up, took a deep breath, and spoke passionately with the microphone in his hand. Everyone, we have deeply felt your enthusiasm. Now we would like to invite Miss and XIN to come up and meet you all. How about that? Good. Where is an XIN? Come up quickly. An XIN, I love you. I am your true fan. As soon as the host finished speaking, the people around heard the news that an XIN was going to appear, and immediately burst into cheers and applause, and the atmosphere was pushed to a climax. Okay, our Miss and XIN has already felt everyone's enthusiasm below. Now let's turn on the spotlight. Miss and XIN has been looking forward to meeting you all for a long time. Now, let's welcome Miss and XIN to the stage. Please welcome her with applause. Hello everyone, I'm an XIN, and I'm glad to meet you all. Suddenly, the spotlight on the platform turned on, and a graceful figure slowly walked up from the stairs at the side. She was wearing a black dress and solid-colored high heels. Her slightly curly hair hung around her delicate face, and she walked up with a smile on her face. An XIN's towering white shoulders make her look graceful and elegant. Her elegant steps not only show off her tall and graceful figure, but also make people feel her cool and elegant temperament. It has to be said that an XIN's previous experience as a model not only gave her an impeccable face and figure, but also gave her the confidence to walk on the stage. Just these short steps are enough to make people feel what it means to be stunning. Oh my god! An XIN is so beautiful. She is even prettier than in the live broadcast and short videos. She is indeed a professional model. Her posture and steps are so elegant to the core. She has such a charming and beautiful temperament, she is simply a darling of God. For a moment, an XIN's appearance completely ignited the atmosphere on the scene. Many people who came here rushed forward frantically, wanting to appreciate an XIN's sweet looks. This is a top female internet celebrity who is a traffic harvesting machine on every platform. People usually don't even have a chance to meet her, but now she is standing in front of everyone alive. How can they not be excited? Moreover, under the lighting, an Xian's beautiful face and figure were admired by everyone without reservation, making everyone feel amazed and in love. It's really good, and the real person is also very beautiful. Well, it seems that I made the right decision today. Ha, then everyone will have to rely on their own abilities. The young masters standing aside were not as excited as the others, but they were also dazzled by an Xian's appearance. With an Xian's looks and figure, she was one of the best in their circle. As a result, many young men who came here with their friends or just to join in the fun became interested in an Xian, and began to secretly estimate in their hearts whether their beloved cars could win the competition this time. Because of an Xian's appearance, the commotion in the square also attracted more people's attention. Even Wang Xinyao and others were attracted by the noise, and they came to the square while strolling. A few little ones also saw the scene from afar, their little eyes blinked, and they seemed a little confused about the scene in front of them, and they all looked at Wang Xinyao beside them. Mom, what are these uncles doing? Well, it looks so lively, but I don't quite understand what it means. Mom, can you tell us what this means? Wang Xinyao had also noticed the scene in the square just now. She lowered her head and listened to the questions of the little ones, but did not answer directly. Instead, she smiled and said lightly, "These are just small activities, they are meaningless to us." Really? When the children heard what Wang Xinyao said, they were a little skeptical and couldn't help but look at her a few more times. Wang Xinyao smiled bitterly and shook her head. Of course, she knew that these things were just a form of marketing. As for the other things, there was no need to say more. It had nothing to do with them anyway. So she didn't explain too much to the little ones. There was no need to explain, and these little ones were still children, so it wasn't good for them to know these things. Okay, this isn't interesting, let's go somewhere else and watch a show, shall we? Thinking of this, Wang Xinyao smiled and looked at the little ones who were watching intently on the side, wanting to take them to some other place. Mom, just let us take a look. This seems very interesting. So many people are watching. Yi Jing pouted her lips, somewhat reluctant to leave. The other girls were the same, they were very curious about these things. Although they didn't know what they were, they just thought it was fun and lively. Oh, okay. Then we can just wait for Dad here. Wang Xinyao looked at the children helplessly and could only take them to stand in the distance to watch and wait for Yi Xian. At this time, the host on the stage also began to interact with an Xian. After chatting for a few words, he officially announced the start of today's event. Okay, everyone, now everyone is almost here. Miss An Xian has just given you her blessings. Now our election competition can officially begin. Chapter 284 Crown. Everyone please cooperate with our arrangements and step back a little to leave an aisle. Our luxury car show will begin soon. While the host announced the start of the event, he then arranged the preparations and asked the crowd below to cooperate with the staff to make way for a path. This was a special path for displaying the young master's luxury cars. Buzz buzz buzz. As bursts of roars sounded, everyone looked sideways amidst the vehicle lights and engine roars, and saw that luxury sports cars were slowly driving into the aisle. The host was looking at these luxury cars on the stage, still holding the microphone and introducing them non-stop, and gave a brief introduction to the owner and model of each car. The first car you see now is the car that young Master Lu of the Lu family drives, a Lamborghini Huracan. It has an orange body and a streamlined silhouette. Its dual-clutch 5.2L large displacement gives this sports car a powerful driving force. Its appearance and interior also show its taste. And this one is the car of the island celebrity Zhang Hualuan. This black Aston Martin DBS is simple in color but luxurious. It has a twin-turbocharged high horsepower and a soft-top convertible. It is definitely the best choice for a street ride. One luxury sports car after another was presented to everyone amid the host's passionate introduction, which completely opened people's eyes. Many people had never seen so many luxury cars at once in their lives, and they were so shocked that their mouths twitched and their eyes were fixed on these sports cars. The financial strength of these people is too terrifying, isn't it? Any of these cars costs several million. The lowest is 2 or 3 million, and the highest is almost 8 million. Ah, is this the circle of rich people? It's too extravagant. For ordinary people like us, cars are just for transportation, but these luxury cars can also be used for socializing. These shocking scenes made everyone sigh and lament the difference in this circle of wealthy people, and they were envious of these luxury sports cars. And those young masters and young ladies who had already attended the show were standing aside, discussing the luxury cars and other young masters that were coming up behind them. I didn't expect this guy to get a Cullinan. Could it be his father's? That's really possible. I remember that the car he drove was just a Porsche 911. When did it become a Cullinan? Alas, you can't blame me for this. I have the ability to do this. At this time, the topic of these young masters was focused on a young man who was driving a Rolls-Royce Cullinan. They all knew him before, but he was just a dandy boy who drove a Porsche 911. However, they didn't know when he got this Rolls-Royce Cullinan. This time, it surpassed their own cars, which made these young masters and ladies feel a little unhappy, but there was nothing they could do. Even if it belongs to someone else's father or someone else, as long as he can drive it here, there's nothing to say. Everyone is here. How is it? This activity is interesting, right? As they were talking, the young master who had been driving the Rolls-Royce Cullinan also came up with his hands folded, and smiled triumphantly at everyone, as if he had already decided in his heart that he was the winner of this competition. It's good, but compared to your Cullinan, Brother Zhang, we are a little inferior. Who said it wasn't? I thought my Aston Martin was pretty good, but I didn't know that you would come and attack me like a dimensionality reduction. I really didn't expect that, Brother Zhang, your version is actually the top version. What else can we play? When the young man came over, they all said a few words with a smile out of politeness, knowing in their hearts that this game had nothing to do with them anymore. It's still uncertain, the game isn't over yet. The young man felt even more proud after hearing what everyone said, but he still pretended to be humble when he said it, but in fact he had already determined in his heart that he was the best. Ah! What kind of car is this? But before the other young masters and young ladies could say anything, there was a sudden noise coming from the display area behind everyone, and everyone's attention was drawn there. Suddenly, a white McLaren P1 appeared in the display aisle in an imposing manner. Under the spotlight and the attention of the crowd, the one-piece body made of new carbon fiber material and the adjustable rear wing showed everyone the strength of this top supercar. This racing-level supercar can accelerate from 0 to 100 km/h in just 3 seconds. It is nearly perfect in terms of color, appearance, and interior. And its price is close to 13 million. This unattainable figure has also made the owner of this car the focus of attention. Finally, the confused young men and women finally learned the identity of the car owner through the host's increasingly excited and almost hoarse introduction. Everyone, what you are seeing right now is a heavyweight top-level supercar McLaren P1, and the owner of this car should be familiar to everyone. It is the famous heir of Zhang's enterprise, Master Zhang Longzhang. Boom! Suddenly, as the host's voice faded, all the young men and women present were stunned. The young man who had been driving a Rolls-Royce Cullinan and thought he had won the competition was also completely dumbfounded. Not to mention that this car is far superior to their tens of millions supercars, even Zhang Long's identity is a height that they can hardly surpass and can only look up to. His McLaren P1 appeared, it undoubtedly completely defeated all the other young masters present. No other young master's car could be compared with Zhang Long's. Seeing this scene, these young masters opened their mouths wide, staring in disbelief at the white McLaren driving towards them. They were shocked to the extreme, they didn't expect that this person had also come here. If they had known this from the beginning, they would have given up the idea of coming to compete long ago. This was simply a level of strength that they could not compare to. It was enough to suffocate people. Soon, Zhang Long drove the car in front of the young masters and ladies, opened the door swiftly and got out. The young masters and young ladies were extremely excited upon seeing this, and quickly went up to him enthusiastically and began to curry favor with him. Master Zhang, you are here too. What a coincidence! Master Zhang, we didn't know you were coming. We hope you can forgive us for not welcoming you in person. It's really unbelievable. Our shabby cars are nothing compared to Master Zhang. Let us congratulate Master Zhang in advance for winning the title. Chapter 285 The Curtain Falls. At this moment, these young masters and young ladies who had been so arrogant before had to start fawning and flattering in front of Zhang Long. There was no way. The other party's status was far superior to theirs, and had reached a position that was out of reach for people like them. Faced with the enthusiasm of these young masters and young ladies, Zhang Long did not have any big reaction. He just nodded lightly and ignored them. But even so, no one dared to show any emotion. After all, the gap between their status and strength was too big, and they didn't dare to do anything else. Many times, a single word from someone else can make them accomplish something they cannot do no matter how hard they try. The same single word can also make them unable to sleep all night and feel powerless to change the situation. The host was watching this scene. Zhang Long's McLaren was the last one to participate in the competition. Now he was ready to announce the victory of this competition. And an Xian was looking at Zhang Long not far away with shining eyes. She couldn't wait to get to know him and try to get closer to him. The benefits of this to her were immeasurable. With the other party's strength and connections, it would be easy for him to become famous, break out of the circle again, and surpass the shackles of being an internet celebrity. Okay, we can announce it now. The more an Xian looked at Zhang Long, the more satisfied she became. Apart from his status and family background, Zhang Long could be considered a handsome guy. Coupled with his noble temperament, he was truly fascinating. The host beside him nodded heavily and was about to announce. On the edge of the square, a few little guys felt that this activity was boring after watching for a while, and they missed Yixian more and more. However, after waiting for so long and there was no news, they began to get anxious. Why hasn't Dad come yet? It's been so long. This activity is so boring. I miss my dad. Mom, where is Dad? Wang Xinyao had no choice. These children asked about Yixian every few minutes, but she didn't know where Yixian was, so she could only ask the children to call Yixian. How about this, you guys call Dad and ask him? Good. After the little guys agreed, Yi Jing took out his cell phone and called Yixian. What's wrong, Jingjing? The call was connected quickly, and then Yixian's gentle voice was heard. Dad, where are you now? We have been waiting for you for a long, long time. Dad, we are in the square now. The activities here are so boring. Come over here. Dad, we all miss you, you must come back as soon as possible. Several little guys asked Yixian in baby voices, their little mouths slightly pouting, looking a little aggrieved. Okay, Dad got it. Dad will be here soon. Yixian smiled dotingly, quickly comforted the little ones, and told them that he would be there soon. The little guys started laughing again. After hanging up the phone, they began to look around eagerly, searching for Yixian. Not long after, everyone saw a customized extended version of Rolls-Royce arriving at the center of the square. The slender body, textured color and paint, cigar-shaped body, and extremely British style completely cover all the top designs of Rolls-Royce, embracing the fusion of modern craftsmanship and classical style to the extreme. Although the engine roar of this Rolls-Royce is not as ostentatious as those of other supercars, it has a low-key and detached temperament. Combined with its majestic appearance, it is simply perfect among perfections. Everyone's attention then shifted to this custom extended version of the Rolls-Royce, and everyone was completely stunned. Even the young masters and ladies, including Zhang Long who had just stunned the crowd with his McLaren P1, felt their hearts tremble. They looked at the slowly approaching Rolls-Royce in disbelief. They were all stunned, and their jaws almost dropped. His eyes kept flashing with disbelief, and the crowd that was noisy just now suddenly became quiet. It seemed that the only thing that could be heard at the scene was each other's rapidly accelerating heartbeats, and the only other sound was the engine of the Rolls-Royce. People smacked their lips, wanting to say something, but they no longer knew what words to use to describe their feelings at the moment. Compared with this custom-made extended version of Rolls-Royce, those young masters just now may be rich, but they are definitely not in the same league. Oh my god! This is a customized extended version of Rolls-Royce, and it actually appears here. Oh my god, this is too rich. This car is definitely worth more than 100 million. No, this is just an election campaign for an internet celebrity. Is it necessary to make such a fuss? Just now, those young masters took a deep breath and burst into exclamations from time to time. When I compare this car with others and then look at my own car next to it, I feel that it is dull and there is no way to compare it at all. Is this true? The female internet celebrity and Xian looked at this scene and quickly rubbed her eyes. Even she was a little confused. After all, she was just an internet celebrity with some looks and popularity. How could she attract a young master of this level? But after looking left and right and confirming again and again, he finally realized that it was not fake. The excitement in his heart was beyond words for a moment, and he quickly pulled the host who was still standing there in a daze. Quick! Announce it! It's him! He definitely won. The host was finally recovered from his shock after being pulled by an Xian, but he couldn't help looking at an Xian with some embarrassment and spoke in a low voice. Ms. an Xian, this person doesn't seem to have signed up, what do you think? Just announce it when I tell you to. Why are you talking so much? But an Xian was so excited at this moment that he was on the verge of madness. He could no longer listen to what the host said and just urged him to make the announcement quickly. At this moment, an Xian felt so happy that she couldn't find words to describe it. If she could get closer to this person, not to mention making herself famous, she would have completely achieved a class leap. I can't even say that I have entered the upper class circle. This is simply soaring to the top circle, a level that I couldn't even imagine before. Everyone, I believe that with everyone's witness, our winner is already obvious, that is, the unknown owner of the Rolls-Royce Custom Extended version. Let us give him cheers and applause. Finally, with the hostess announcement, this somewhat ridiculous election competition has come to an end. Chapter 286. Let us go. Amid the sparse applause from the crowd, the previous passion was long gone, and what was left was only envy, jealousy, and hatred filling the air. What does it mean to be close to others with a billionaire? This is it. Oh, what a winner in life. Not only is he rich, but he also got the chance to be with an XIN so easily. Forget it, forget it. Today is an eye-opener. We were just spectators in the first place. While people were still talking, Yi Xian got out of the car, gently closed the door, and looked at the scene in front of him calmly. At the moment when he raised his head and smiled, everyone was completely stunned. It would have been jealousy just now, but now they were directly turned into anger. What kind of thing is this? Not only is he rich, but he's also so handsome. Don't they say you can't have your cake and eat it too? Isn't this a bit too much? He's so handsome. He's even more handsome than the male models and celebrities I think are the most handsome. And his temperament is absolutely amazing. Could it be that God opened a door for him and even smashed the window on purpose? Not only the people who came to join in the fun, but also the female internet celebrity in XIN was stunned, staring at Yi Xian with fiery eyes, and even her heart was about to jump out. Originally, when she saw the Rolls-Royce just now, she had already thought that since the other party had such strength, his appearance was not important. But when she saw Yi Xian's handsome face, she suddenly felt like she was in love with him at first sight and couldn't help herself. She was so satisfied with his unparalleled handsomeness and the elegance in his every move. It was hard for her to imagine that there was such a perfect man in the world. What the hell? Where did this guy come from? Why haven't I seen him before? He suddenly showed up. Could he be here to mess things up? Look at him. Humph. Is it a big deal that he's rich? Is it a big deal that he's handsome? God knows what kind of guy he is. Seeing all this, naturally some people were happy and some were sad. And XIN was happy in her heart, but the eldest young master was not very happy. They came here just after the game was over. Isn't it obvious that they are here to mess things up? Don't say anything more. I heard from my father that this person is Mr. Yi, the owner of Daxia Island. Hearing this, a young master who had reacted quickly covered the guy who had been cursing before, his forehead already covered with cold sweat, and spoke to him seriously. I just remembered that this person is not comparable to us. I don't care what you think in your heart, just swallow it down quickly. If someone hears it, no one can protect you. What? After hearing these words, not only the young master who had just scolded Yi Xian, but also the other young masters and young ladies beside him, felt a chill all over their bodies. You are kidding. The owner of Daxia Island is a very important person. Are you mistaken? Yeah. He looks so young, how is that possible? I don't believe it. This is too exaggerated. Even if he is the owner of Daxia Island, he is too young. While everyone was shocked, they couldn't help but become suspicious and looked at the young master with suspicion. Oh, how could I lie to you? My father even had dinner with him? Even Wang Haoming, the administrator of Daxia Island, had to stand up and toast him. What do you think? The young master sighed, looked at everyone with a sincere expression, and briefly explained what he knew. This. Everyone was speechless now. Perhaps they had felt uncomfortable and unhappy just now, but now they had swallowed all of it. After hearing what had been said, everyone believed Yi Xian's identity. At least when they thought of his age, they still found it hard to calm down. The owner of Daxia Island, this identity is too scary. No matter what, he is not someone that people like them want to look up to. They can't even reach his heels. The young master who was cursing before now had a look of fear on his face. He couldn't help swallowing his saliva, and his heart was terrified to the extreme. If I had really offended someone just now, what would be the consequences? Thinking of this, the young master fell completely silent. He suddenly felt like he had survived a calamity and was glad that he had not done anything out of line. On the other side, after Yi Xian got out of the car, he began to look for Wang Xinyo and the little guys among the crowd. But before Yi Xian could see anything, the female internet celebrity in XIN came to Yi Xian excitedly, looked at him lovingly, gently touched the hair beside her ear, and winked at Yi Xian. Congratulations! You have earned the chance to have a dinner date with me. When the onlookers saw this scene, their expressions were inevitably distorted, and the envy, jealousy, and hatred in their hearts had reached the extreme. If any other man had seen an XIN's action just now, his heart would probably have melted, and this is the scene they have been dreaming about day and night. But Yi Xian just glanced at an XIN in front of him calmly, without any fluctuation in his expression, and shook his head resolutely. I don't need it, I'm here to find my daughter and wife. Ah, this. When the people around heard Yi Xian's refusal, they almost vomited blood. This guy is actually already married. And XIN was also choked badly, his expression was a little dull, and he was speechless for the moment. He just felt his head buzzing, and it was hard for him to accept that this beautiful dream ended before it even began. Dad! We are here! Just when everyone was in a daze, Wang Xinyao and a few little ones had already seen Yi Xian and ran over excitedly. The children even walked around an XIN who was standing there in a daze, and threw themselves into Yi Xian's arms. They were happy, but also a little resentful. After all, Yi Xian came too late. This is so beautiful. He is the winner in life. His wife is as beautiful as a fairy. Ah! And these little girls, what kind of angels are they? I'm almost melted by their cuteness. Compared like this, although an XIN is also very good looking, the gap is also obvious. When everyone saw Wang Xinyao and these little guys, they were also shocked. Not to mention how pretty and cute these little ones are, just look at their mother Wang Xinyao, their beauty and temperament like a lotus emerging from the water instantly surpass an XIN next to them. The difference between the two can be said to be obvious. Hubby, you're finally here. The girls are clamoring to go to the party with you. Wang Xinyao walked over with a smile, her eyes full of love as she looked at Yi Xian. Well, it's not too late now, let's go. Chapter 287 Lying on the Spot. Yi Xian smiled gently, then he took Wang Xinyao's arm, took a few little ones with him, and left. At this moment, everyone was left with confusion watching Yi Xian's family leave. These scenes happened too fast and too dramatically that they are still struggling to react. As for an XIN, he was stamping his feet angrily on the spot. The beautiful dream he had carefully planned was now shattered. Thinking of this, an XIN found it hard to accept, and then looked at the other young masters. But now it has come to this, and the other young masters are not fools. No one is too lazy to pay attention to him. They have all got in the car, stepped on the accelerator, and left here. It's over. It's all over. When an XIN saw all this, his mind went blank and he collapsed to the ground. Yi Xian and Wang Xinyao brought a few little ones to the stage, and the family watched the unique maritime-style performances on the stage happily. The atmosphere was very warm. After watching the last song and dance show, today's competition has come to an end. Yi Xian looked at the little guys who were already a little drowsy and couldn't help but smile. He and Wang Xinyao took the little guys back to the hotel. After returning to the hotel, Wang Xinyao took a shower with the little ones, and then held them in Yi Xian's arms, falling into a deep sleep while listening to a fairy tale. The next morning, the little guys got up early, and saw that Yi Xian and Wang Xinyao had not woken up yet. There was nothing else to do today, so they tiptoed out, put on their clothes. How about we play something? After walking around the room, the little ones felt a little bored, so they decided to play something and started rummaging around the room, trying to find something fun. After searching for a while, Yi Jing found a go box and a chessboard in the cabinet under the TV, and said to the other girls with a smile, "Why don't we play this? It seems very interesting." Okay. The other girls didn't find anything fun, but when they saw what Yi Jing took out, they thought it was very interesting, so they excitedly lay on the coffee table and started playing with it. First, put the chessboard on the board. The little ones looked at the black and white pieces in the box, scratched their heads, and found that they didn't seem to know how to play with this thing. Sister Jingjing, do you know how to play this thing? Yi Shi looked at Yi Jing suspiciously and asked in a baby voice. Well, let me think about it first. Yi Jing pouted and started thinking in her mind, as if she had heard Zhou Xiaodan talk about how to play this thing before. Ah! I remember now. After thinking for a while, Yi Jing slapped his head and said to the other little guys with a smile. I've heard Xiaodan say before that this thing is called gobang. All you have to do is make a line on the board. Oh. So that's how it is. I understand. Yi Xiao chuckled, picked up a black piece and placed it at an intersection on the chessboard. I'm coming too. Yi Jing also picked up the white piece and placed it on the other side of the chessboard. Although the little ones didn't know what the specific rules of Gobang were, they still enjoyed the game. Now it was Yi Jing and Yi Xia who were playing, while the other kids were watching from the side, occasionally acting as military advisors and giving them some advice. After a while, Yi Xian also got up. Looking at the noises of the little ones in the living room, he walked over with a smile. "You're actually playing Go. That's great." When Yi Xian saw this scene, he couldn't help but laugh. He didn't expect that these little guys would actually play this, so he walked over to the girls and watched. "Dad, you're up. Come and see how good I am at playing chess." When Yi Xia saw Yi Xian coming, he excitedly asked Yi Xian to come over and see his results. "Okay, let me take a look." Yi Xian smiled dotingly, ruffled the little guy's hair, and began to read. But it doesn't matter if you don't watch it. The more he watched the chess played by these little guys, the more confused he became. He didn't understand what it meant at all. How do you play Go? Why can't Dad understand it? "Dad, what is Go?" Yi Jing had just placed another chess piece. When she heard Yi Xian's question, she asked it seriously. "Ah?" Yi Xian was a little stunned for a moment. Looking at the innocent faces of the little guys, he asked again weakly. "If you are not playing Go, then what are you playing?" "Dad, this is called Gobang, not Go." Yi Jing explained with a grin, and gave Yi Xian a proud look at the chess piece he had dropped. "Look, Dad, I'm almost connected into a line." Yi Xian was speechless for a moment. This little guy was connected into a line, but this was not a straight line, it was a complete curve. If it continued to bend a little bit, it would almost become a circle. That's not how you play. Come, let Daddy teach you. Wiping his sweat off his forehead, Yi Xian was actually somewhat impressed by these little guys. They didn't even know how to play, but they could still have so much fun. The rules of Go are as follows. Generally speaking, there are two ways to play. Dad will teach you the simplest one, which is also the most common one. While helping a few little guys to tidy up the chess pieces scattered all over the chessboard, Yi Xian demonstrated the specific ways of playing. Look, all you have to do is use the black and white pieces and place them at the intersection of the straight and horizontal lines on the board. The first one to form a straight line with 5 pieces wins. What is Gobang? It means that the 5 pieces should be in a straight line, not randomly placed like you guys are doing. Yi Xian demonstrated it personally and explained the rules in detail to the little ones. As for the other way of playing, since it was a little more difficult, he did not teach them. It was enough for them to play this simple way well. Oh. So that's how it is. After Yi Xian taught them, these girls felt that the door to a new world had been opened. However, they were still a little confused after just listening and watching, and they clamored for Yi Xian to continue teaching them. "Dad! This is so fun, you must teach us." "Hey, we are so smart, we will definitely be able to learn it." "But I still didn't quite understand what you said just now." "Dad, can you say it again?" Chapter 288 Teaching Chess. Seeing that the children were very enthusiastic about Gobang, Yi Xian also thought that this educational game would be very beneficial for them, so he patiently taught them step by step. "Come on, then Daddy will teach you how to play, and you will definitely be able to learn it. Let Xia Xia and Jing Jing go first." "Yeah." The two girls agreed with great joy and picked up the chess pieces with great interest. "Xia Xia, make your move first. You can place it anywhere, but it's best to place it in the middle. The first one to make the move will have a greater advantage." "Aha!" Yi Xia agreed and placed the black piece in the center of the chessboard. "Then what should I do, Dad? Teach me." Yi Jing held the chess piece in her hand, pursed her lips, and didn't know what to do. "Ha, don't worry, even though I'm the last one to make the move, it doesn't matter." Yi Xian smiled and comforted Yi Jing, gently pinched Yi Jing's little face, held Yi Jing's little hand, and gently placed the chess piece next to the black piece. "It's so fun." Yi Jing looked at the falling chess pieces with a very enthusiastic expression, and thought that this thing was very interesting. The other little guys were also watching the chess game with great interest. Although they still didn't quite understand it, after Yi Xian's explanation, they found Gobang even more interesting. "Well, if you find it interesting, Dad will train you well and make you into Go experts, how about that?" While Yi Xian was teaching the children, he also joked along, hoping to increase their interest in these things, which would be very good for them. "Great. We must study hard. Then Dad must teach us everything he knows. He. This won't be a problem for us. The girls were cheering themselves up with full confidence, which made Yi Xian feel funny. He thought these little girls were quite conceited. Ahem. Okay, listen to Daddy. Although you probably know the rules of Go Bang, how do you play it specifically? What's the idea? You still need to learn more. After coughing lightly, Yi Xian began to explain his ideas to the little ones again, but he did not just explain it. Instead, he let them play the game while explaining the theory. This way of making the biggest progress. Remember, when playing Go Bang, you must be serious and careful. Otherwise, once you reveal your flaws and the opponent seizes them, you will be in a hopeless situation. When Black plays first, he must seize the initiative and create an advantage for himself. As long as he is good at using his advantages, he can do it. But when you are the white chess player, don't lose heart. As long as you can defend properly, you can still have a chance to win. But at this time, you can't just defend, you must also seize the opportunity to attack. Yi Xian then told the children in detail about some of his experiences and techniques for breaking the game. The children listened very carefully, with their mouths opened into an O shape. They had never thought that such a game could have so many tricks. On the other side, Wang Xinyao also got up. Seeing Yi Xian playing chess with the children, she did not disturb them. Instead, she went to the kitchen with a smile and started cooking for them. But after Wang Xinyao finished cooking, she saw Yi Xian and the children still playing games at the table. She was somewhat surprised, so she walked up to them and asked curiously, "Why are you so into playing chess today?" "Mom, Dad taught us how to play chess today, and we learned a lot." Hearing Wang Xinyao's voice, the children turned around excitedly and reported to Wang Xinyao what they had gained today. "Then you are quite serious, you deserve praise." Wang Xinyao smiled and gave the children a thumbs up, then pointed towards the dining table and said, "But no matter how serious you are, you have to finish your meal before playing. Otherwise, I don't know how to think." "Okay. Let's go now." The children nodded, and several of them pulled Yi Xian together, skipping towards the dining table. During today's meal, the little ones were still a little absent-minded. After finishing the meal in no time, they still pestered Yi Xian to play chess with them. "Dad, can you continue to play chess with us?" Of course you can. Dad is happy to see that you like playing chess." Yi Xian nodded, led the little guys back to where they had been playing chess, and continued playing several more games. Up to now, the children have made rapid progress. From not understanding the rules at the beginning to being able to observe the development of the chess game skillfully now, they are getting better and better at it. After finishing another game, the little guys still felt unsatisfied, but they suddenly remembered the Go that Yi Xian had asked about before. "By the way, Dad, what is this Go game you were talking about? Is it fun too?" Yi Shi looked up at Yi Xian and asked about Go with great interest. The other children also looked at Yi Xian in the same way, and they all wanted to learn it. "Dad, can you teach us? Go seems to be fun." "Hey, isn't it true that Go Bang is connected in a line, and Go is formed in a circle?" "Dad, I want to learn this too." Now Yi Xian didn't know what to say. These little guys had only learned Go Bang for a short time, but they actually wanted to continue learning Go. But Go is very difficult. "Are you sure you want to learn it?" "Yes, we have to learn. With Dad teaching us, we will definitely be able to learn it." The children had great confidence in Yi Xian and immediately agreed to continue studying. That's fine, then Dad will continue teaching you." Yi Xian agreed with a smile. Since the children have so much confidence in him, how could he not have confidence in himself? "Come, let me explain the rules of Go to you first, and we'll take it slow today." After rearranging the chessboard, Yi Xian demonstrated and explained the rules and methods of playing Go to the children, using the most direct way to teach, which also enabled the children to learn more clearly. Wang Xinyao, who had just finished cleaning up the dishes, came out and watched the children studying Go with Yi Xian again. She couldn't help but feel that it was a bit too much. After all, everything should be done step by step. Are these little guys going to defy fate? Why are you learning Go? Can you learn it? After hesitating for a while, Wang Xinyao walked up to the children and asked them a question. She still couldn't believe that these little guys had learned it in such a short time. "Mom, Dad just praised us for learning so well. Now we know how to get off the bed." Chapter 289, Complaining. "How about Mom come and play with us? I want to play around with Mom." "Yeah, it must be fun to play Go with Mom." The children answered confidently and even wanted Wang Xinyao to play a game with them. "Okay, then let Mom check the effectiveness of your learning." Wang Xinyo was also quite amused, and she started playing against the children. The children played black pieces first, and she played white pieces second. But after playing for a while, Wang Xinyo gradually discovered that the children, who had been hesitant and blind in making their moves at the beginning, began to become calm under Yi Xian's guidance. Sometimes, even she felt that their moves were quite good. This felt like a leap forward, and made Wang Xinyo and Yi Xian feel that these little guys were indeed very talented. They played like this until the evening, and Yi Xian taught the children many skills and techniques of Go games. The children were very focused and they really learned a lot. After they were tired of playing, the little ones lazily lay on the sofa, eating snacks and watching cartoons. Seeing this scene, Yi Xian couldn't help but want to laugh and be angry, and said a few words to them helplessly. "You little guys, you can't just eat without exercising. How about coming and exercising with Daddy? If you continue like this, you will turn into little fat pigs and won't look good." But even though Yi Xian said this, the children still did not move and were not very willing to get up and exercise. "Dad, we are all tired from playing chess today and don't want to exercise." "Yes, it's dark now, we should rest." "Dad, just let us have a good rest." Several little guys looked at Yi Xian and spoke in baby voices, but no one wanted to get up and exercise. "Hey, you girls, playing chess is about using your brain, how is it the same as exercise?" Wang Xinyo on the side was also a little amused, but Yi Xian pulled Wang Xinyo to his side and whispered something to her. "Good." After hearing this, Wang Xinyo nodded and thought it was a good idea. The two of them left the hotel, leaving the little ones lying on the sofa in confusion. "Hey! What are Mom and Dad doing? I don't know, maybe they think we don't have enough snacks." "Xia Xia, what are you thinking about? You must be trying to find a way for us to exercise. But it's better to take us out, right? This shouldn't be the case." After some guessing, the little ones still couldn't figure out the reason, so they just continued to eat their snacks and watch TV comfortably. After a while, Wang Xinyo and Yi Xian went to the shopping mall outside, and as soon as they entered, they went to the toy shopping area. They came out for no other reason than to buy toys that the children liked, thinking of using them as prizes to urge the little ones to exercise. When the two returned to the hotel, they were carrying a lot of toys in large and small bags. The children's eyes were suddenly fixed on them. They jumped off the sofa and came to the pile of toys. "Mom and Dad, is this for us?" The children were so happy. They didn't expect that not only did they not have to exercise, but they also got so many toys. "Wait, these are not yours yet." Yi Xian smiled and quickly called out to a few little guys who were already impatient. "As for these toys, you need to check in and exercise every day to get them. Your mother will watch over you. How about that?" "Yeah. No problem." Attracted by the dazzling array of toys, the little ones immediately agreed and started exercising quickly, and they were immediately motivated. Yi Xian and Wang Xinyo watched the scene with satisfaction, thinking to themselves that this move was really effective. But what neither of them expected was that the children were interested in exercising, but this shot of chicken blood was too strong, and they all grew bigger all of a sudden. When everyone got up the next day, these little guys only felt sore backs and waists all over their bodies, and they all complained in pain. "Dad, I feel so bad, my whole body hurts. Ah! My legs are so sore, it hurts when I move. Dad, what should we do? We won't be able to exercise today if this continues." But even so, the children did not forget today's check-in task, and they still seem very motivated. "Okay, let Daddy give you a massage." Yi Xian had no choice but to give the little guys a massage, and then they felt better. After helping the little ones with massage, Long Ye came in and reported the news about the West. "Brother Yi, our people have already entered the West, and the black post you instructed has also been successfully sent out. After this, the families that received the blackmail notices have become more restrained recently, and have become more cautious in their actions and in all aspects." Yi Xian stood up and looked at Longshire. After thinking for a while, he nodded slightly. "Okay, let's get ready and go to the West." Hearing this, Long Ye's originally calm expression suddenly tensed. Although he had a hunch that Brother Yi was going to go to the West, hearing Brother Yi say it himself still made him feel surprised and shocked. At this moment his heart was beating wildly, knowing that if he really went on this trip, who knows what would happen. So at that moment, although Long Ye was somewhat hesitant about whether he should say the next words, he gritted his teeth and decided to dissuade him. "Brother Yi, why don't we not go this time? If we really go, it will be a big trouble. I don't know how big a storm it will cause. If there is any organization or force that needs to be dealt with, just let me arrange for someone to go down there." It would be rather troublesome if I go there in person. Bai Ling and Tang Hao on the side also gathered around Yi Xian. They had just heard Yi Xian say that he was going to the west. They felt the same as Long Shi, so they came over to persuade him, hoping that Yi Xian could give up this idea. Brother Yi, why don't we just forget about it this time? It's not convenient to take my sister-in-law and a few girls with you. If it doesn't work, I can help you solve it. Tang Hao looked at Yi Xian earnestly. Deep down he didn't want Yi Xian to really go there. It would be fine if everything goes well, but if things don't go as smoothly as expected, who knows what kind of unexpected changes will occur. Chapter 290 Going to the West. Brother Yi, you have to calm down. If you go there in person, the nature of this matter will become different. Why don't we not be anxious and think of a specific solution first? There must be other ways to solve this problem. There is no need to go there in person. It will waste so much time. Bai Ling looked at Yi Xian eagerly and also tried to persuade him with a few words. For a moment, Bai Ling, Long Shi, Tang Hao and the other two were completely on the same page and none of them really wanted Yi Xian to go there. What happened to you today? Yi Xian looked at them with a mixture of anger and laughter, and said helplessly. I went there to make trouble a few years ago. Does that mean I can't go there now? After hearing what Yi Xian said, the three of them were speechless and had no choice but to agree. Okay, don't worry about this matter. When the time comes, we can just relax and don't think too much. Seeing that no one was talking, Yi Xian sighed a few times, talked to them briefly about the arrangements after that, and then returned to the little guys. Children, I have good news for you. We are going to the west. The west. The few little guys who were still sitting on the sofa to rest suddenly had their eyes brightened. They instantly forgot the pain in their bodies and almost jumped from the sofa to the ceiling. This news is undoubtedly great news for the children. Now their little faces are rosy and they begin to imagine going to the west to play. All they think of are various fun places. That's great, Dad. Does this mean we can go see the Eiffel Tower? We still have to think about what interesting places there are in the west. I want to go to those interesting places of interest. Then wait a minute, Dad. We still have to check it online. After the Eiffel Tower popped out of their mouths, the little ones couldn't think of any interesting places for a moment, so they took out their mobile phones and started searching on the internet. Dad, we're going to Loch Ness to see the monster. And here, Venice, the water city, there are so many rivers here, and the night view is so beautiful. Dad, I want to see the Louvre in Provence. The children were collecting travel guides on the internet. They wanted to go and take a good look at almost every place they saw, and they kept telling Yi Xian, who was standing nearby. Okay, Dad promises you that if Dad has the chance, he will take you to any place you want to go, okay? Seeing that the little guys were even more enthusiastic about exercising than before, Yi Xian did not hesitate and agreed with a smile. Yeah. Dad is so nice. Let's go and tell Mom the good news now. Yeah, Mom will definitely be very happy if she knows. After getting Yi Xian's consent, the children almost jumped 3 feet high. The excitement and joy in their hearts reached the point where they could hardly calm down. So they swarmed to Wang Xinyao and told her the good news in one voice. Mom, we have good news to tell you, do you want to know? Wang Xinyao was tidying up the room just now. Now seeing the children looking at her eagerly with their pupils flashing with excitement, she couldn't help feeling a little confused and asked with a smile. What's the good news? Tell Mom quickly. Hey, Dad is going to take us to the west to play. Yi Jing smiled and threw herself into Wang Xinyao's arms, excitedly telling her the news. Are you happy then? Wang Xinyao smiled. She was not very surprised by this. After all, she had stayed on this island for quite some time. It was not surprising that she wanted to visit other places. Happy. The children nodded, and now they were a little impatient and wanted to get on the plane to the west right away. Well, then Mom will go with you and take you to have fun. Wang Xinyao rubbed the children's faces. The children nodded and hurriedly packed up their things. Oh, we forgot one thing. While packing up, Yi Jing suddenly remembered something and said to the other little guys. We haven't gone to buy souvenirs yet. If we don't go now, it might be too late. Yeah. So what do we do now? Yi Shi nodded, not knowing what to do for a moment. The other little guys also looked at Yi Jing anxiously. Why don't we go ask Dad? Maybe we still have a chance to get out today. Yeah. Let's go then. After discussing for a while, the little guys walked outside to ask Yi Xian. Dad, Are we still leaving today? Yeah, what's wrong? Yi Shen looked at the little guys with a smile, wondering why they asked this. We want to buy some souvenirs, otherwise we will all leave by then. Yi Jing looked at Yi Shen eagerly and expressed her thoughts in a baby voice. Dad, we have decided to buy some souvenirs and postcards from all the places we have been to as a souvenir, so that when we grow up, we will not forget these memories. All right. Yi Xian was also helpless, but the idea of these little guys was still a good one, so he agreed immediately and prepared to take the children out. After packing up, Yi Xian and Wang Xinyao took the children out of the hotel and came to a large souvenir distribution center nearby. Dad, let's go over there and take a look. The children stood at the door and saw the many stalls inside at a glance, so they prepared to go in and have a good look. Okay, we'll just wait for you to come back. Yi Xian smiled and nodded, not worried about the children. Yeah, then Dad and Mom will wait for us here, we will be back soon. The little guys agreed, held hands, and walked inside. Wang Xinyao and Yi Xian watched the happy backs of the little ones slowly walking away, and just stood at the door waiting. The little ones were running all the way. Yi Jing, as the eldest sister, led her younger sisters and walked behind them, always paying attention to their safety. After walking around the souvenir stalls, the little ones bought some things, and they liked them very much, so they packed them carefully in bags. But while strolling, Yi Shi, who was walking at the edge, suddenly discovered that there seemed to be a few vague figures in the woods on the other side. Then after taking a closer look, I saw that there were a few old men playing chess inside. Chapter 291, Remarkable. One of them was an old man with a white beard who looked quite like an immortal. In front of him was a chessboard and next to him was a simple sign with the words "accepting as a last-ditch disciple" written on it. Oh, how could I lose like this? A middle-aged man opposite the old man's side, exuding a sense of powerlessness all over his body, and looked at the old man in front of him in disbelief. Although he prided himself on his high level of chess skills, the old man opposite him always gave him the feeling that he was being strangled by the throat. No matter what method he used or from what angle he attacked, it was like hitting cotton. But when the old man started to attack, he felt that he was unstoppable and he had no room to resist at all, and he quickly lost the game. Ha, young man, if you don't complain about losing, don't think too much about it. The old man who was watching the chess game nearby smiled but said nothing at first. But now, seeing the middle-aged man sighing, he couldn't help but smile and say a few words. It's true that I lost, and if you could beat him, you wouldn't be an ordinary person. We old guys watch him play chess with others here every day. Your chess skills are pretty good. Keep going, young man. This old guy is no match for you now. The middle-aged man looked at the old man with a complicated expression, then glanced at the old man in front of him who was packing up the chessboard, nodded slightly, and turned to leave. Thinking back to the previous game, the man still had cold sweat on his forehead, and he knew deep in his heart that this old man was a real master, at least he was not someone he could fight against at the moment. But to be honest, this might be a height that I will never be able to reach. Every move made by the old man just now made him feel truly thrilling. With just a flick of his wrist, he easily surrounded his opponent. An invisible sense of oppression spread throughout the entire chess game. Sister, there is go here. After seeing it clearly, Yi Shi gently pulled Yi Jing, who was walking in front of her, pointed towards the grove and spoke softly. Really? Yi Jing and a few other little ones looked in the direction Yi Shi pointed, and they immediately became interested. Their little eyes lit up, and they all wanted to go over and take a look. Sister Jingjing, why don't we go over and take a look? Well, let's take a look and go. Yi Jing thought about it for a while, and couldn't resist the curiosity in her heart, so she immediately went over with her sisters. Hey! Closed disciple, what does this mean? As soon as they walked over, the children were attracted by the things on the sign in front of them and muttered something in a low voice, but they didn't know what it meant. The little ones trotted all the way to the chessboard set up by the old man, and looked at the chessboard with great interest. It was somewhat old and had a thick patina. Hello, Grandpa. Are you waiting for someone to play chess? The little ones looked at the old man with white beard and kind face in front of them and asked in a baby voice. The old man looked at the little girls in front of him. Their cute and polite appearance immediately made him like them. He spoke kindly and gently. Well, yes, do you like Go? Grandpa, we love Go so much. The children smiled and nodded. Ever since Yi Xian taught them this, they have become more and more interested in Go. Oh. Do you know how to play Go? The old man's eyes lit up when he heard that, and he asked another question. The other old men sitting next to him were also crossing their legs and looking at these girls with interest. Grandpa, we can play Go. Ha ha ha. That's great. The old man slapped his thigh excitedly. Although he didn't think these little guys would be very good at this, it should be interesting to play Go with such a smart little girl, so he immediately invited the children. How about this, you can all play together, okay? Let Grandpa test your skills. Good. The little guys had never thought that they could actually play a game of Go with the old man. They immediately forgot what they had said before, that they were just here to take a look, and agreed excitedly, ready to play a good game with the old man. Ah, yes, these girls are really brave. Many old men nearby were watching this scene happily, thinking that this was really a case of a newborn calf not fearing a tiger. This guy is a great Chinese Go player. Even though he has now retired to the quieter Dasha Island, his level has not improved but declined. It can be said that he has reached the state of returning to nature. However, although the old men thought so in their hearts, they did not say it out loud and just watched from the side. Come on, Grandpa lets you go first. Heisey, let's start. The old man stroked his beard and generously gave the initiative to the children. Yeah, thank you, Grandpa. Yi Jing smiled and nodded, and first took the black piece in his hand and placed it at the number 33 in the lower left corner. Ha, not bad, you even know how to take up a stable position first. Good job. The old man laughed when he saw this, thinking that these little guys were quite smart. When playing first, they did not rush to choose small eyes and star positions, which were slightly riskier places. Instead, they calmly chose point 33, which was the most secure place to guard the corner. This also shows that the little girls at least have some opinions of their own about the situation, which is a very wise approach. Thank you, Grandpa. The children received the old man's praise, but they just smiled and kept their attention on observing the old man's moves. The old man just smiled slightly, and then placed the white piece next to the black piece. Although the old man only made one move, the children still watched it very carefully, as if hoping to analyze the old man's future movements from this move. Grandpa, let's go this way. After the children discussed quietly for a while, they finally decided to use offense as defense, seize the advantage of the first move and not let the old man have any chance to take advantage. They placed the black piece under the old man's white piece, forming a siege with the black piece at 3 threes. Good. The old man nodded. Rather than being an opponent of the little guys, he was more like a mentor to them. Being able to find opportunities to attack and placing your pieces in a place that is safe enough to protect yourself is a good choice. At this point, the old man became a little more serious. In his eyes, the rigor and accuracy of these children's moves were better than that of the middle-aged man who just left. In comparison, the middle-aged man was a little impatient. However, these children are able to achieve both offense and defense, and always choose their positions precisely. Their character is commendable. Chapter 292. Dad, we forgot the time. The game of chess is still going on. Every move made by the little girls is very careful and their chess skills are very strong. Although they are still young, their techniques are very skillful. They can even use some killer moves that even the old man finds incredible. You know, although there are many killer moves in Go, it is relatively complicated to learn. The moves and situations change at a moment's notice. It is not easy to go with the flow and proceed step by step. It requires even more skills to make killer moves. No matter from which aspect, the difficulty of Go is far greater than chess. If you want to really get started, the time and energy required will increase exponentially. The scene before them made the old men who were watching the fun around couldn't help but be stunned. They stared in amazement at the calm and composed appearance of these little guys, and were shocked in their hearts. After all, they were just a few children. Not bad. These girls are really good. Well, it seems that we old men with blurry eyes have really made a mistake this time. Shoo, keep your voice down and continue watching. After a few old men muttered a few words, they were even more surprised to find that the national player sitting opposite the little guy actually frowned. He was speechless for a moment and could not believe that what he saw was actually real. At this moment, the old man narrowed his eyes slightly, carefully considering the current situation. Although he had the upper hand and surrounded the black pieces of the little guys, he still couldn't defeat the little guys. The old man now has a heart of admiration for talent. If these little guys can become his last disciples, that would be the best choice. Children are smart and can absorb new knowledge better. Moreover, these children's understanding of Go is not necessarily shallower than that of adults. Their foundation is also solid. It can be said that they have once-in-a-lifetime talents. Not to mention anything else, the fact that I have been able to work under him for so long is enough to reveal many problems. If I hadn't been sitting here and actually played a game with these kids, I'm afraid I wouldn't have believed it was true. Grandpa, you are awesome. Even better than our mom. The little girls also had beads of sweat on their foreheads at this moment. In this round, even though they started first, the old man gained the upper hand after just a few steps and has been suppressing them until now. Don't be distracted, you guys are pretty good. The old man waved his hand and reminded the little guys that the chess game was not over yet. He also wanted to see if these little guys could bring him more surprises. Aha! The children nodded and immediately observed the situation more carefully. But in the final analysis, these little guys who have just learned to play Go, no matter how talented they are, still seem a little immature when facing these once powerful national players. After not long, it is time to decide the winner. And they were the losing side. Now the old man's black pieces were attacking fiercely, and their white pieces were at the point where they were powerless to turn the tide. What do you think? Do you want to give in and admit defeat? At this time, the old man was not in a hurry. He just smiled and said something to the little girls, wanting to use this to test their character and ability to discern the situation again. Kids, you played chess well, but there's no need to continue now. Yes, the grandfather in front of you is very fierce. It is extraordinary that you can make it this far. Alas, at this point, there is really nothing we can do. Girls, listen to Grandpa's advice and admit defeat now. The elders nearby also reminded the little ones that although their chess skills were quite good, the opponents they were facing were too strong and the situation was hopeless. Grandpa, can you let us think about it for a while? The leader Yi Jing pouted, looked at the chess game seriously and thought about it, and finally suggested suspending the game first. Okay, Grandpa promises you. The old national player nodded kindly, and was even more satisfied with the temperament of the little guys. It was indeed not easy for them to be able to think calmly at this time. But children are still children after all, and they are always a little stubborn. At least in the current situation, there is no way to deal with it even if we try to think for these children. Children, let me ask you, who did you learn chess from? Looking at your exquisite skills and your thoughtful expressions, you must have learned from a master. Maybe Grandpa knows you. The old man took advantage of the break to curiously ask these little girls who taught them the art of chess, thinking that if there was such a person, he probably knew him and could discuss the matter of becoming their last disciple with that person. But if not, that would be even better. After all, these children are the best successors I can find at the moment, and I must not miss them. Not to mention their chess skills, just their personalities can make people see many possibilities in them. Grandpa, I learned this from our dad. What? Your dad? Hearing the answers of these little guys, the national player and the old men watching the chess were all shocked, thinking that this father must be a master, otherwise it would be difficult to train these little guys. Why haven't you come out for so long? Honey, let's go in and take a look. Yeah, that's fine. At the same time, Yi Xian and Wang Xinyao, who were standing at the door, waited for a long time, but did not see the little guys come out. They were somewhat worried and walked inside. After looking around, there was still no sign of the little guys, so Yi Xian and Wang Xinyao immediately decided to split up and look for them. But after just a few steps apart, Yi Xian also saw several familiar little figures in the woods. Looking closely, he found that they were Yi Jing's little guys. Aren't these girls buying souvenirs? Yi Xian couldn't help but feel a little helpless. He didn't know how he ended up here buying a souvenir. While muttering to himself, he walked inside. Dad! Why are you here? As Yi Xian walked into the woods, the little guys who were discussing the chess game also saw Yi Xian and immediately pounced on him. You girls, why are you here? Yi Xian lovingly picked up the two girls in one hand, and then asked them how they got here. Hey, Dad, we've been playing chess with Grandpa here and have forgotten the time. Yi Shi, who was held by Yi Xian, smiled and pointed at the old national player who was looking at Yi Xian. Chapter 293, The Last Disciple. Oh, I'll go check it out. Yi Xian immediately became interested and felt happy. He gently put down the girl in his arms, walked towards the side, and began to look at the chess game between the little ones and the old man. Hello, you are the father of these girls, right? I heard that you taught the girls how to play chess. I really admire you. The girls are very good at chess and their temperament is also very rare. The old man looked at Yi Xian, greeted him, and praised the chess skills of the little guys. You said it kindly. Yi Xian smiled slightly, continued to look at the chess game for a while, looked at the little guy beside him and said calmly. Girls, let me help you continue. Good. The children were very happy and nodded with a smile. Anyway, they had no other choice now, so they might as well see how their dad would break the deadlock. Young man, this is not necessary. The situation is already hopeless. Yeah, there's no need to continue this, it's already a dead end. Alas, this game of chess is simply not going to work. The elders who were watching the game nearby also tried to persuade him immediately. After all, even the national player himself might not be able to break the situation, let alone this young man. Dad, but it seems like we are losing. The little girls also looked at Yi Xian worriedly, knowing in their hearts that what the old men next to them were right. The current situation was like being surrounded. Girls, remember what Daddy said. No matter what, don't give up until the end. Whether it's playing chess or anything else, you must have perseverance. Even if the result is bad, you must persist until the last moment. Yeah. Dad, we get it. The children nodded heavily when they heard this. They naturally understood what Yi Xian meant and regained their confidence in Yi Xian. After all, in their eyes, Yi Xian is a superman. Even in Go, they think Yi Xian is the best. Ha, well said, come on young man. The old national player was also happy. He invited Yi Xian to sit opposite him, and the two began to play chess. Girls, remember this. When you are stuck in a deadlock, don't rush to give up. First observe the shape and momentum of the center and the corresponding four corners. As long as the opponent still has weaknesses, there is still a chance to break the game. Yi Xian picked up a black piece casually and placed it on a small spot on the chessboard, while explaining it to the little guys. Ha, is that all? The old national player muttered to himself. He had also experienced countless opponents who wanted to break the deadlock, but once he realized